San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? What a happy Tuesday to everybody out there in America's finest city. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local, each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Tough commute today, I think, for a lot of people out there on the 15. Hopefully everybody stays safe in this particular deal. I'm sure we'll get updates on that throughout the day. But tough traffic getting into work today for both Frank and myself, and for most of the people, I think, out there right now that are stuck on the 15 and the 805 and a lot of the other freeways today. And I'm sure there'll be updates on that throughout the day. We'll try to keep you updated when we get information as well. Let's talk some sports today on a Tuesday. Let's talk Padres baseball on a Tuesday. We have a lot to talk about when it comes to baseball. Pitchers and catchers have reported today. Big round of applause. Big congratulations. We're back. We're back. The Padres are back. The pitchers and catchers are showing up. They're showing up to Peoria today. We have already had some sound trickle out. We have had some press conferences already trickle out. The Padres have announced their, who's in camp list, if you will. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the Padres world, which means there's a lot of stuff going on in Major League Baseball. And there's a lot of great sound that we want to pass your way. And just to kind of whet the appetite a little bit about what's out there. Craig Stammen met with the media today. He had a lot of cool things to say about obviously the start of the season and his first time to be a manager. And we're going to talk more about Craig Stammen later on in this hour. And then also Steven Souza Jr., who is the Padres' new hitting coach, was asked about his philosophical approach to hitting. And we'll play that clip for you, as well as some of the new stuff coming in with pitchers and catchers reporting today. We'll talk about how lineups might fit. I mean, this is the day that you want to go all in on maybe opening day, feeling like opening day is next week, but we got 6 weeks of this. But this is the first step into Padres baseball on March 26th against the Detroit Tigers here at Petco Park. We are steps closer to that reality with pitchers and catchers reporting. And we've had other news out there as well around Major League Baseball. We have had, about an hour ago, Bob Nightingale talking about or tweeting out about Zach Gallen, with Zach Gallen and their conversation and his conversations heating up a little bit. And the official report from Bob Nightingale on the Zach Gallen news was, talks are heating up for starter Zach Gallen, the best remaining free agent on the market. Teams showing the most interest: San Diego Padres, Baltimore Orioles, Chicago Cubs, and the Arizona Diamondbacks. If you look at where the Padres are at and where you're at with Zach Gallen, I mean, based on what he accomplished last year and based on where he's at and based on some of the arm issues that he has had in the past, I'd love to have Zach Gallen on this team, but for the right price, obviously. I mean, I don't think, and here's the deal. I don't think Zach Gallen is particularly in the leverage right now of getting this big contract. I think he will eventually sign for something that's close to what Nick Pivetta signed last season. I think there's going to be something like that in order for him to be a Padre. I think there's probably something like that in order for him to be any, Oriole, Diamondback, Cub. I think there's going to be some stipulations on that, especially with this late in the offseason, where we are now officially beginning 2026 with pitchers and catchers reporting. So if the Padres are able to pull this off, that would be great. I mean, they asked Craig Stammen about it early on today, and he said AJ's always got something up his sleeve. And we're going to talk about that later on in the show. We're going to talk about the first test for Craig Stammen in the 11 o'clock hour. Some big trending storylines going into spring training for the 8 biggest storylines going into spring training around Major League Baseball. We'll talk a little bit more about Miguel Andujar. We'll talk about what is it? Here it is. Opening day outlook. I mean, today's the other day too, where people start throwing out their 2026 projected lineups and rotations. We'll have a full breakdown of that later on in the noon hour. I mean, that's going to be talking about mostly the National League teams, where their lineups are at and how they're going to compete this year. We'll do that in the noon hour. We got major questions to answer when talking about the National League that we'll do in the 1 o'clock hour. There's some rumors about some predictions, not really rumors, but more predictions about the trade market in spring training as well coming up that ESPN put out, and one involves the San Diego Padres and a first baseman. We'll talk about the likelihood of that later on in the show. And we'll try to dabble in some other topics as well. San Diego FC looks very comfortable heading into this game in Mexico City against Pumas UNAM. This is a big game for San Diego FC. Again, can't lose by 3 if they want to advance into the next round as part of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. That's a big matchup tonight for San Diego FC. So we'll dive into that. We didn't talk too much about Aztec basketball yesterday. We briefly talked about San Diego State and USD and UCSD. And right now, and again, the bracketologists, most notably Joe Lenardi, always puts out his little thing on Tuesdays and Fridays. As of right now, with San Diego State, he's got him as a bubble team, and he's got him as a last 4 in, with New Mexico being a last 4 in too. I mean, as of right now, the Mountain West has 3 teams in the NCAA tournament, but 2 of them are the last 2 teams into the tournament, with San Diego State potentially having to play Texas and Dayton and then going to play BYU and Buffalo. That's the latest, according to Joe Lenardi. And in terms of like where else is out there for San Diego and like what the San Diego matchups would be, as of right now, you still got the University of Arizona, who took their first loss last night to Kansas. They're still projected to get a number 1 seed. They'll have the number 1 seed, and they'll be playing in San Diego most likely when the NCAA tournament field is announced. As of right now, Joe Lenardi has Arizona playing Harvard, Texas A&M playing SMU, and then also having Vanderbilt playing Liberty and Texas Tech playing Hawaii. So that's the latest on some of the college basketball things as well. But when looking at the first day of pitchers and catchers reporting, this is a great day. This is a fun day. It's a fun day to be a baseball fan. You're not going to get a lot coming out of today. You might see some highlights. I mean, the Padres staff will put out some videos of everybody walking in with their coffee, their local brew or their Starbucks coffee, getting ready for a workout. You'll see some, maybe some little limited bullpens, if you will, some guys playing catch. For all the position players that showed up early, I'm sure you'll see some highlights of them getting some swings in a cage. But it's that sound of the bat. It's that pop of the glove. It's that, first inclination of baseball being back. That is a exciting moment for a lot of fans out there in Major League Baseball. And we're excited here at 97 through the Fan for the start of the Padres season. And there's a lot of question marks with this team. This is still not a complete team. And I don't think you can evaluate how far they can go or where, we do it as a fun game on the radio, but there's not a lot that you can really break down from the early signs of this roster. There's a couple of things, right? Like you'll know that it's a lot of returning players on this team. You know that you have 3 guys in the rotation that you have seen pitch in a Padres uniform before that have all done well in a Padres uniform. You know that you have some opportunities for some surprising stars like Gavin Sheets was last year. You get the excitement of maybe some new players showing up to the Padres, like a guy like Miguel Andujar for instance. The excitement of seeing the bullpen, which is your biggest asset, be part of this team. Searching through social media to see if Jeff Passan, has a Passan bomb, talking about maybe the Padres signing a guy like Zach Gallen or adding to this roster. Because A.J. Preller always has something up his sleeve, as Craig Stammen has mentioned. And so when you look at this roster and you look how it's built, there's signs of optimism and excitement. And there are also signs of, they still need to address a couple of things. So with that all being said, it's good to have Major League Baseball back. We've made it through the offseason. We've made it through, all of the other, going through the football season and going through the winter meetings for baseball, going through the GM meetings, going through all these little stages to finally being able to see the boys out there again, repping the brown and gold, repping the San Diego logo, and getting ready for the next chapter, which is when the position players need to show up. And it sounds like a lot of them are already there because we got the World Baseball Classic, and we'll have the World Baseball Classic to kind of, get us ready for the regular season, kind of bridge the gap a little bit. But you're going to be excited until, you get position players back, new excitement level, and then you count up to the first game of spring training that gets you that little excitement level because now you got actual games, and then you start counting down the days until opening day. So today's going to be a show filled a lot with baseball. We got a lot of sound for you to play. Craig Stammen met with the media earlier today. We're going to play that in just a little bit. Steven Souza Jr., the new hitting coach, joined the media for a scrum. He talked about his hitting philosophy. But the Padres, we talk about the roster. They need to figure out how the lineup fits. And this is the early stages of that. It's fun to play that game. We'll talk about the lineup when we come back as we just get started here on the Braden Surprenant Show on a Tuesday. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. Got an update from the San Diego Police Department. The number one, this is from their Twitter account at San Diego PD. The number 1 and number 2 lanes of I-15 southbound are now closed. Portions of I-15 northbound are reopening. Our suspect is in custody following a police pursuit. Please continue to consider alternate routes. Thank you for your patience as our officers bring this event to a resolve. So it sounds like they're going to start opening up some of the freeway on Interstate 15. Is it still? I mean, our windows are closed, but we usually have a good view of the 15 outside. What's our report there, Frank?
Yeah, it's looking a little bit better. Not, I mean, it would have been a lot easier for me to get into work now, but it's getting better.
CBS 8 had an article on this. Police pursuit of a stolen trailer on I-15 northbound led to a standoff, disrupting traffic as officers worked to resolve the incident. So it was a police chase this morning that resulted in a standoff Tuesday as officers worked to resolve the incident involving a stolen trailer. According to the San Diego Police Department, suspect is now in custody. Officers responded at approximately 8:30 in the morning to report that a female suspect was attempting to steal a trailer. The suspect then fled the area with the trailer attached to her SUV. When officers located the vehicle and attempted to stop it, the suspect led police on a pursuit onto the Interstate 15 northbound. According to the SDPD, the vehicle and trailer then became disabled near Pomerado Road. As of 10 this morning, the number 1 and number 2 lanes of I-15 were still closed, according to the San Diego Police. As we mentioned before, they're working with California Highway Patrol in coordinating traffic routes to alleviate congestion. Police said motorists should continue to use alternate routes. I did see that. I saw the I was driving on the way down because I get on the freeway at Pomerado Road. And I jumped in my car this morning, Frank, and I immediately got the... Rod would have the footage of the flip trailer. I saw the flip trailer. I get in my car at a relatively normal time, and my ETA was like 9:55. And I'm like, what in the world? And I looked, and I'm like, oh, there's traffic today. I'm like, oh, it's a Tuesday. People work on Tuesdays compared to Mondays and Fridays. And then I'm driving, and as I'm going across Pomerado, I can see Kearney Villa is completely backed up. And Kearney Villa had like flashing lights. And then I looked and I saw 15 south from the north side. And it wasn't moving normally like it does at that time when I'm getting on the freeway. And I looked, I saw all these flashing lights. And as I'm driving through, I'm trying to like piece it together because I didn't see any of this on social media or anything.
Yeah.
I thought it was like an accident. And I look, I did see a flipped over trailer on the side of the road and then a bunch of Suburbans surrounding it. And I'm like, that seems like a lot for just that, but now it makes a lot of sense. And then as I was driving through, my commute wasn't bad. It was mostly looky-loos.
Yeah.
And then I'm driving south, and it's like 163 south backed up, 52 trying to get onto the 15 north backed up, overpasses backed up that are usually not backed up, 15 north completely backed up, and I'm like, oh man. Hopefully Frank's already at work.
No, I wasn't. Everything was fine until we got to San Diego State on the 8, and then everything just slowed right down. And I know it slowed right down because I got rear-ended this morning.
Oh no.
Yeah, my car's fine. Their car was fine. It was just a, hey, we're all good. You're good. I'm good. Okay, off we go, kind of deal. And then it looked fine getting onto the 15. So that wasn't a problem. I got on the 15 at like 9:35, which is normal. Actually, it's a little bit early. And I didn't get from the 15 on ramp from the 8 to Arrow Drive until about 9:53. And then getting over to the building, finding a place to park because all the parking spots are narrow and people here do such a friendly job of parking. I had to go all the way to the back of the parking lot where there was nobody because people don't know how to park. And then by the time I got up here with 30 seconds to spare before the show started.
Happens. Been there, done that. I knew that immediately was going to be the case. when I was driving to work today. I'm like, oh, Frank's going to have some issues with this. So hopefully the commutes weren't too bad for a lot of you out there. Sounds like they're moving quickly now. I'm trying to fix this problem, and we'll see what happens. With other updates, we'll keep you updated if we see anything else out there. All right, so there's a lot of stuff going on with the Padres. Spring training has now officially been set with everybody showing up to camp. You see your boy Luke Weaver showed up to Mets camp with the Yankees bag?
No, I didn't see that.
That's all he got, man. He doesn't have the Mets bag yet.
That feels like something that should have been provided.
New York Mets senior beat writer for National Enquirer, Mark Gooden.
Okay.
He goes, I asked Mets relief pitcher Luke Weaver where he got the Yankees bag from. He said, the Yankees. I asked if he thinks that qualifies as tampering to accept swag from a team he's not on. He said, what? No, I got it when I was on the Yankees.
Brother.
Hey, fastest way to get new gear, show up with the other team's gear.
First of all, what a question to ask. Do you think it's tampering to accept gear from another team knowing that he just came off the Yankees? What a question. And then what a deadpan, no irony answer from Luke Weaver as well.
I support Luke Weaver in this endeavor.
Oh, I do too. Like if you're...
It's a stupid question.
It's a very stupid question.
I don't even know if that's like a legit thing, but anyway, there it is. His bio says I didn't vote for Ichiro in it, so he's a BBWAA Hall of Fame voter, allegedly. We'll see.
I mean, again, that you would think that's something that the Mets would have offered him by now. He's been on the roster for a couple of months at this point.
All right, let's talk about the Padres, and Kevin Acee wrote about this, but they need to figure out how the lineup fits. I think they need to for an extent, but not. They don't have until the roster is complete. It's kind of hard to put lineups together. But Kevin Acee lays out some of the things in his article today about lineup stability and what Craig Stammen's philosophy is on, whether it's stability or flexibility. So the first argument that he brings up, and I agree with this, the ghost of 2025, Frank. If you had to guess what the ghost of 2025 was, what would you guess the ghost of the 2025 Padres when it comes to lineup construction was?
The number 2 spot.
Who does number 2 work for?
The San Francisco Giants right now.
Lineup stability became a liability last year. That is definitely the ghost of 2025. Arise hitting second in 130 games became symbolic of the Padres' offensive rigidity in 2025. Despite leading the NL in hits and finishing with a 292 average, Arise quietly posted career worst batting average, career worst on base percentage, and a significant drop with runners on base. He was to hit 297, down 68 points from his career norm. The result of that, the player who looked productive, but increasingly, he increasingly stalled rallies. Not a collapse from the offense, Frank. A death by 1,000 paper cuts, and the Padres paid for it in the entire season. I mean, sometimes you don't want to have that much stability in the lineup. How many times, and here's the deal. I heard this so many times during the Andy Green era and during the Jace Tingler era and during the era of first-time managers. You know what I used to hear from phone callers all the time working here? These guys can't hit because they're at a different spot every day. You got to put them in the same spot every day. I'm like, no, you don't. Please stop. And then this past year, you got to move up the lineup every once in a while. They're in the same spot every day. Now you enter Craig Stammen. Craig Stammen's flexibility as philosophy. New manager Craig Stammen is clearly distancing himself from whatever Mike Schilt did last year in the lineup because he says he's not a set it and forget it guy. His core belief, as reported by Kevin Acee's article, is if you don't move struggling players during the season, it looks like panic when you do it in October, which to me signals a massive shift between Mike Shilt's lineups and what Craig Stammen's lineups might be. Now, he hasn't done it yet. He could talk about it, but struggling stars may get moved down. Platoons will matter. Roles will be fluid, not sacred. And it's really less about creativity and more about organizational courage for them to just basically go, we're going to move guys around and play the hot hand. And until he starts doing that, Frank, I'll be on board. But I like the idea. I like the mindset. I like the philosophy. And to me, I think that's going to be a massive mix-up between Craig Stammen's teams and Mike Shilt's teams. And I think that might lead to extra offense for the Padres with keeping the lineup moving a little bit more than they did last year.
Yeah, and from what we saw last year, it seemed as though the more and more we as media or fans called for it, the more and more strict and rigid that Mike Schilt got. And we're already hearing that these guys, that was the biggest thing we talked about with Fernando last year, was that he had no protection at all with Luis Arraez consistently batting behind him. Now, I don't know where that protection is going to come from, whether that's moving Bogarts up to the number 2 spot, whether it's just making it a rotational spot until you find someone that fits there. But Fernando needed that protection last year and never got it. So it is spring training right now, and it's going to be more difficult this year because of the World Baseball Classic, and depending upon how far some of these guys go in the World Baseball Classic, it's going to either lengthen or shorten your time to figure it out. But the lineup is puzzle pieces. Now, granted, you have your stereotypical spots in the lineup, like you want your best hitter number 1 that has some speed, best contact hitter number 2 to possibly drive him in if he steals some bases. You want power hitters at 3 and 4. So there are some stereotypical spots that you want to try to keep, but it's a puzzle that you have to be moving around all season long. And when you find something that fits, or when you find a group that fits, that's when you start to settle on a lineup. You can't just throw it together and go, oh, well, this is good.
Their post-deadline roster is basically the roster that Craig Stammen is inheriting. It's, definitely better than it was at the beginning part of last season. But again, not reinvented. It's the same roster. The Padres their aggressive 2025 trade deadline really did a lot of the offseason work they needed to do in advance. Because what was the big conversation piece last year, not only in spring training for most of the season, was who's playing left field? Do you need a left fielder? They found one in Ramon Laureano. So that was one of the offseason moves that they needed to make. They found one. Who was going to play first base? Gavin Sheets won the job. I mean, he basically won that spot for him. The other one was catching. You didn't have a catching solution. You had Elias Diaz and you had Martin Maldonado. That was something else that the Padres needed to do coming into the offseason before they got to last year's trade deadline. They went and they fixed that by getting a guy in Freddie Fermin. Now, a backup catcher is still, I think, up for grabs right now. But they did a lot of their work for the offseason at this year's deadline where they didn't have to add too many pieces. That's why they didn't see a big splash. Now, I still think they need to add pitching. I mean, we got news today in Atlanta about Schwellenbach being out for a significant period of time now for 60 days with a serious elbow issue. That just proves that you can never have enough pitching. That's why this report from Bob Nightingale about Zach Gallen talks increasing is very important, because I think for the Padres, they got to be able to land a guy like Zach Gallen. If not, pivot to Chris Bassett. If not, pivot to Lucas Giolito. They need more pitching to this lineup, to this rotation, and they got to add that. That's the only thing at the deadline that they really weren't able to add in terms of a offseason move. But the difference now is not who these players are in the batting order or in the lineup. The difference now is how those pieces are used. And now you have the Miguel Andujar effect, and you have the first base and platoon question, and you have the Sung Moon Song version, right? That with him coming in to be a utility player. So it's not about whether the Padres use 100 or 120 lineups. It's about, are they going to hold the stars of this team accountable by moving them down in the order if they're not playing well? Are they going to use the platoon advantages and use them to their advantage? Are they going to have, veteran status still override performance, right? I mean, how many times did we hear that last year from Mike Schilt? Well, he's won 3 batting titles. All right, Mike. Well, he's not doing it right now. So I don't know what you're seeing here, but we continue to do the same thing over and over again. And based on the philosophies of Greg Stammen, it leads to a lot of questions about how this lineup will look. And when we come back, we're going to try to answer that for the first time. What's the Miguel Andujar effect? First base and platoon question, and how does Sung-Moon Song crack the lineup? We're going to answer all 3 of those when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Sports Station 97 to the Fan. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, we know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We want to mention that all guests on our show join us on the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys, helping good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. I do want to update, as of 3 minutes ago, San Diego Police Department putting out that all northbound and southbound lanes of I-15 have reopened from our investigation. Again, thank you for your patience. 15 is back and open. So, hopefully not more traffic for everybody out there. Let's get to some of these lineup questions. The Miguel Andujar effect, who, by the way, has still not officially been announced as a San Diego Padre yet. Padres announced their roster for camp, and Miguel Andujar was not on said roster. So I'm sure they're working on the finalization of a lot of different things with that. That's usually how it happens, medicals, all that fun stuff. So once that happens, then he will be officially on the team. But let's talk about his effect, because it's reported that he is going to be on the team this year. He gives the Padres something that they sorely lacked last season, and that's the ability to hit lefties. Andujar's got an 807 OPS versus lefties. He's got a 389 average and a 986 OPS versus left-handers in 2025, and his 171 WRC plus against lefties, one of the best in Major League Baseball. Padres ranked 17th in Major League Baseball versus left-handed pitching last year. But this is a very big move for San Diego. It was a very big move for San Diego. Again, it's not official yet, and when it does, we'll talk about it. But when looking at Miguel Andujar, he's one of those players that might be one of the most important players for 2026 on this team. And I like the way that the Padres decided to improve some areas that they needed help with. And they made a small move just to improve their lineup against left-handed pitching. And a guy like Miguel Andujar answers a lot of those questions that the Padres needed answered from 2025 when it came to playing lefties. And who did you face in the playoffs? You faced a lot of lefties for the Chicago Cubs. You had like Gavin Sheets trying to go out there and face a lefty. And Gavin Sheets is not, a terrible hitter against lefties, but it's not as good as Miguel Andujar. Which leads to the first base and the platoon question. Gavin Sheets showed improvement versus lefties in 2025, but still may not be an everyday answer. Andujar can play first base in a pinch, but isn't a solution there. Padres are still looking to add another right-handed bat, which could push Sheets into a platoon, increase lineup competition, and create real consequences for underperformance, which goes back to what Craig Stammen's philosophy is going into the season, at least what he has told us about flexibility in the lineup. and moving people around and moving and playing the hot hand near the top. That to me is the biggest ads that the Padres still need to have aside from pitching. And you can never have too much pitching because, as we mentioned before, Mark Bowman, who covers the Atlanta Braves for MLB.com, reported on the first day. And this is the day that you get a lot of injury news going into the season. And hopefully we don't get that from any of our local beat writers. But Mark Bowman said Schwellenbach was making normal preparations until he felt discomfort about 10 days ago. Good news is this doesn't seem to be a UCL issue, but even if this is just bone spurs, he will miss most of the season's first half. And that's coming off of the report that he had where Spencer Schwellenbach is dealing with right elbow inflammation, and the Braves are hoping he's just dealing with bone spurs, but he'll miss significant time. He'll begin the year on the 60-day injured list. Robert Suarez is trying to get his visas in order for the Braves. So that's the two people that we're missing in their camp when it comes to pitchers and when it comes to arms. But as for the Padres, they got to be able to put together a starting rotation that includes a little bit more pitching because they need a Zach Gallen. They need a Chris Bassett. They need a Lucas Giolito. They just need one extra arm, probably two if they had the money to do that. But they need the extra arm, and then they need an answer at first base. Because, Frank, as I look at the lineup and some of the philosophical ideas from Craig Stammen, you look at something where the Padres are probably one piece short in terms of their position players to fully employ what Craig Stammen wants to do with the lineup.
Yeah, I think first base is probably that position. I would prefer to see Gavin Sheets more as a DH, but it's also nice to have somebody, as we've been talking about Miguel Andujar, that has the versatility that he has. He can play both corner outfield spots. He can play both corner infield spots, came up as a third baseman. So, I mean, he is going to fit in very, very nicely. You're going to see Miguel Andujar playing a lot this year. But overall, I do agree. This is not a World Series caliber team. This is a team that is capable of making it to the playoffs through the wild card. And then hopefully you pick up a piece, whether it be starting pitching or preferably a bat, preferably at first base, that will push you through the wild card round.
Our guy Prolific in the chat said 96 wins again. First day. You know, if he keeps doing it every single year, one of these times he's going to hit. Yeah, I thought they were going to get there last year at the end. I thought they were going to make that push for Prolific, but just came up a little bit short.
And yes, we've seen it. Thank you, Stores, and thank you to everyone in the YouTube chat. We have seen Justin Verlander will be retiring at the end of the year as he is back in Detroit.
He said he was going to retire too?
Well, you'd have to think. It's
we can't assume.
Ending of the story.
Can't assume, Frank.
Well,
don't be putting words in his mouth.
I'm assuming.
This guy.
Feel like making an ass of myself today, more than I already have. So
Justin Verlander back with the Tigers. Beautiful, says John Heyman. I don't mind that. I mean, some people are like, what about the pot? Why would you start? If you could go back to a place that you've been for most of your career, might as well. And you know what? If the Tigers aren't very good, which I think they will still be very good, you'll end up on Houston at the halfway point. It'll be the full circle. Let's get to the Sungwoon Song part of this too. He's kind of the slow burn part of this equation. You know, like Ha-Seong Kim before him, Song is expected to be slow played, likely to start mostly versus right-handers, could serve as a DH or rotate through multiple infield spots to rest veterans, keeps bats fresh. Padres will face right-handed starters approximately 70% of the time. Song isn't being hidden, but he's being staged to, you know, play the role that he was brought in here to do. It's be kind of a utility guy and hit right-handed pitching. And I think that makes it for a good bench piece for the Padres, Frank.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's also going to be, with Miguel Andujar, able to play in the infield. That also gives Sungwoon Song a little bit a kind of a place to hide, I guess, as he gets used to. And what's the word? It's not ingratiates. It gets used to the game in the United States. So it'll give him a little bit of help. It'll take some of the pressure off of him as your expected infield replacement, because you can kind of finagle ways to hide him, especially now that you have Miguel Andujar on the roster, allegedly at least.
Yeah, it's been reported. That's the phrase we like to use. I mean, you start looking at what some of these starting lineups can be, right? We haven't done that yet on the show. We haven't made the lineup, we're not drawing names out of a hat today. Okay, that's when they lose 5 or 6 straight games, and we got to mix some things up. But I start looking at what could be a Padres lineup against a right-handed pitcher, and here's my take on this too. I like, for me, the platoon thing or the lefty righty matchups. I'm not a big, I don't buy too much into that unless it's like platoon guys. Miguel Andujar versus Sung Moon Song. Yeah, I'll buy the lefty righty deal. But like, should Jackson Merrill move lower in the lineup against the left-hander? I don't believe that. Like, I feel like Jackson Merrill is good enough and has shown that he is he might have had a little bit more of a down year last year, and I don't think that's going to be the norm because I think he's a stud, but he is one of your stars. Like, are you moving him down because he is a left-handed bat against a lefty? Like, I think the best 1, 2, 3 on this team is Tatis, Merrill, and Machado. And I asked for that almost all year last year, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'd still do that against the lefty, despite Jackson Merrill being left-handed. I know Ramon Laureano is better against left-handers. I like Jackson Merrill in the 2 spot the entire season just as much as like Fernando in the 1 spot the entire season, regardless if it's righty-lefty. I don't think Jackson Merrill's the type of guy that you have to move further down the lineup because he's facing a left-handed bat.
No, I think he's earned that right with how he's played, not just last year, but his rookie season as well. He's earned the right to be able to stay up there and fight against left-handed batters, against left-handed pitchers. The only thing that I would say is I wouldn't be opposed to doing it if he shows that he's really, really struggling. Then maybe you move him around somewhere. But to stick him between Fernando and Manny with most likely a Bogaerts or a Sheets behind him, that might actually help him because you're gonna have to pitch to the guy because you're gonna want to get as many outs you possibly can before you see Manny Machado. So that actually sticking him between 2 very dangerous hitters might actually help. It might actually benefit him.
I love him as a 2-hitter. I do. I think it'd be in a good spot as a 2-hitter. Now, yeah, Kevin Acee put together his potential lineup, right, for both a right-handed bat, a right-handed arm, and a left-handed arm, and most of it is relatively the same, with the exception of Andujar is in against lefties instead of Sung Moon Song, and Jackson Merrill's batting 4th instead of batting 2nd. But I still would rather have Jackson Merrill bat 2nd. I mean, I'd go Fernando 1, Jackson 2, Manny 3. I think you need Ramon Laureano in the top 4. But Laureano or Sheets 4, 5. I really don't want to make too much of a difference there, but I think Ramon Laureano needs to be in the top 4, regardless if it's a lefty or a righty. I think he's earned that right after the last couple of years he has had, especially in the small amount of time he has had with the Padres, Frank. And we'll see. I think Gavin Sheets kind of needs to earn that cleanup spot and needs to earn that everyday starting spot for the San Diego Padres, in spring training. But to me, if you could bring in one more guy that is a right-handed bat that could play first base to face lefties, and you have Gavin Sheets platooning at first base, I think that's a recipe for a team that can actually make some way in the playoffs, not just make the playoffs.
I kind of shuddered when I heard you say Laureano at 4, because again, the 4 spot, you're talking about stereotypical lineup positions as we were in the last segment. That's more of a power hitter spot. But then looking at Laureano's numbers, he had 9 home runs in 50 games with the Padres last year. I would say that is a fair fit for number 4. He tied a career high at 24 home runs. He hit in Oakland in 2019. But I would not be opposed actually to seeing Ramon Laureano batting 4, which means that would put Sheets or Bogaerts at 5 and then Sheets at 6. Cronenworth is down there, so is Fermin, and then one extra spot.
I look at it from a standpoint of, and I've said this on opening day the last couple of days, or last couple of years when it came to like Jake Cronenworth. Because on some of these opening days, you got Jake Cronenworth batting in like the top 4 spots.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, if Jake Cronenworth, you will know if you're a playoff team based on if Jake Cronenworth's batting 7, 8, or 9. And that's not a knock on Jake Cronenworth, but the teams that make runs and have good years have players like Jake Cronenworth batting 7, 8, or 9, not 1 through 5. And as of right now, as you go into this lineup for next year, or for, what could potentially be lineups for the 2026 season, you got guys 6, 7, and 8 that are guys like Xander Bogaerts and Jake Cronenworth and Gavin Sheets and Miguel Andujar. And I mean, these are names that are that give you lineup lengthen lineup. These are guys that lengthen lineups. And when you do these lineups, like a starting lineup against the right-handed pitcher, I like the one that AC has put in there. I might make a couple of tweaks, but he's got Fernando leading off. He's got Jackson Merrill batting second.
I'm writing down what I would do.
Okay.
I want to see how close it gets to it.
All right, well then plug your ears because I got to tell the lineup to the listening audience here. Fernando, Jackson, Manny, Ramon, Gavin, Xander, Jake, Sung Moon Song, Freddie Fermin is what Kevin Acee would do. Mine's pretty close to that. It's fun to make lineups. Let us know what your lineup is. Comment on the YouTube chat. Tweet at us at Braden Surprenant Show at @B_SURP. When we come back, we'll talk more about the lineups. We'll talk about Miguel Andujar. First test for Craig Stammen begin, and what's going on at spring training. All guests appearing on the show. Join us on the David P. Shapiro fan hotline. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys helping good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime. Since 2010, visit davidpshapirolaw.com. We have a 4-pack of spring training tickets to give away in the 1 o'clock hour. Stay tuned to that. We'll have that for you in the 1 o'clock hour. Now, here's a couple of things with the Padres, and here's what we really want to get into, and some people are putting their lineups out there. It's fun. This is the best time. Put the lineups out. People like filling out a lineup card. You know, we should get some lineup cards from Amazon just to fill it out on our show for fun. So we appreciate all of you guys doing that. We're going to continue that conversation a little bit, but I do want to get to like what the Padres, what we have new for the Padres today. I mean, Craig Stammen was there. I mean, everybody's there, obviously. All the pitchers are there, pitchers and catchers and all that fun stuff. And our guy Sammy Lev's out there, you know, having Bradley Rodriguez playing catch today in Peoria videos. And he's got videos of guys running poles. And, you know, it's time for stretch videos, man. It's time for stretch videos. But it's also time for some sound from Craig Stammen. And since we have these videos, try to play these videos for you. If we can on the YouTube as well. We'll see what Frank can dazzle up here. But I want to start from the first one that they had, which was Padres manager Craig Stammen being asked about the team's current roster, if he expects additional moves from AJ Preller during spring training. And that's kind of where they first talked to him. The first scrum of the year. We got, I hope there's some noise in the background of bats and popping of gloves. It's just such a great time. Are you ready?
If you could stall just a touch longer, that would be awesome.
Good morning from Peoria, says Sam Levitt out there. I just looked at one of the things. A little partly cloudy out there.
What do
Peoria,
you think?
Arizona.
What do you think Sam does with all those videos? Because he doesn't just take them off the phone. Like, what do you think he does after he posts them?
I would delete them all, but I think he's probably got a folder of all of them.
That wouldn't surprise me.
When he misses baseball, he watches the training videos.
Thank you. I'm trying to. Okay, you should be good to go now.
Okay, here we go. Here's Craig Stammen being asked about the team's current roster, if he expects AJ Preller's got anything up his sleeve.
The roster that you have, there were some moves during the offseason. There could still be some. What do you make of this group of players, and whether you expect moves coming in the next month or so?
Yeah, we got a great group of players. Some, top to bottom, we've got a pretty good roster that we feel like can compete for, any number of goals throughout the season. Is it the final roster? We know AJ. AJ's always got something up his sleeve. We've seen in the years past. We signed Dylan Cease the day before we left for Korea. We signed Nick Pivetta last year, middle of February. So don't put anything past him. And I know he's continually working and trying to, fill out our roster and make it as best we can at the start of opening day.
Let's talk about that for a second. Kevin Acee, how about this? Because we got the news today that, from Bob Nightingale, that Zach Gallen is close to making a decision, right? And the Padres are very much involved, right? That's the tweet we saw today?
Yes.
Okay, let me get the exact one. Talks are heating up for starter Zach Gallen, the best remaining free agent on the market. Teams showing the most interest: Padres, Orioles, Cubs, Diamondbacks. Now, Kevin Acee just put this article out this morning. I find this very interesting. Now, is Kevin Acee throwing cold water on the Zach Gallen rumor? Here's what Kevin has put in the Union Tribune online today. Padres will almost certainly continue their streak of acquiring a starting pitcher during spring training. Hey, that's great news, Frank.
You'd think.
That they believe can make a significant contribution to the rotation. Hey, it's great news, Frank.
You'd think.
However,
here it comes.
There you go. It might be a while. And it might not be quite the caliber of pitcher they brought on in recent years.
There it is.
Here it comes. Certainly, unless reports suggest his imminent signing prove misguided, free agent Zach Gallen will not be that pitcher. How about that? He just flat out says it. Certainly, unless reports suggesting his imminent signing prove misguided, free agent Zach Gallen will not be that pitcher. Come on, Ace.
To be fair, Ace, he has had some trustworthy reporting recently.
Do not make us play the booze every time we mention your name, like we do for Ken Rosenthal. Come on. We'll find out. Hey, we'll see. I find that odd that came out 49 minutes after Bob Nightingale tweeted out that Zach Gallen's talks were heating up. Came like right after the fact. He put this out at 10:49. Now, while the Padres were said by a league source to be one of at least 3 teams, quote, serious about Gallen, he would likely need to go unsigned for a while, meaning his price dropped significantly to end up with the Padres. All right, well, that makes a lot of that. That makes more sense.
Or they could sign him to $1 million, like they did with Nick Pivetta last year.
Can give him a Nick Pivetta deal. Maybe there's other teams that are trying to get more out of him or try to, whatever. The team has 4 spots set: Pivetta, King, Musgrove, Vasquez in their 5-man rotation. And while their expectation is to bring in a veteran, the Padres believe they have at least 3 suitable candidates: JP Sears, Matt Walsh, and Kyle Hart for the final spot there that are as good as many of the pitchers remaining on the market, or at least at the level they are prepared to play.
But here's the problem, though.
Probably. It's probably supposed to say pay.
Here's the problem, though. If you're trying to beat the Los Angeles Dodgers, you can't have a pitcher that's just as good as everyone out there on the market. You need to have someone who's better than that. And Gallen is better than the other pitchers on the market. So if the Dodgers are your goal, if making the playoffs and winning in the playoffs and hosting a playoff series is your goal, you have to find people who are better, not just as good.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. There remain half dozen big name pitchers who, for various reasons, don't have jobs that could be on the Padres, quote, price range. There it is, Frank. The price range. Those pitchers almost certainly would come at a steep discount, perhaps even signing a minor league deal. Oh. Without getting highly creative, the team does not have much left in its budget for 2026. And for context, it must be considered that Aaron Savali signed with the Athletics last week for 1 year and $6 million.
You are never signing a quality, impactful arm, which is what they said that they needed. A quality, impactful arm on a minor league deal. You're never doing that. If you are signing somebody on a minor league deal, that is, and I'm hoping he can be an impactful arm, like Tristan McKenzie, non-roster invitee, you're hoping that he could be a big name player. It's got to be a guy like Zach Gallen. It's got to be someone who is better than the average pitcher that's available on the market. And if you have to go a little bit over budget to get him, even with a creative contract, that's worth it. If you think you can win, if you think you're a piece or two away from winning, go after it. Go and get it. Don't wait for it to fall in your lap at the trade deadline. Go after it.
He makes a comparison of Savali because he just signed a 1 year, $6 million deal. 30-year-old Savali's ERA, 4.85, was 0.02 of a point higher than 30-year-old Zach Gallen in 2025. But in 90 fewer innings, and Savali does not have Gallen's career numbers. Now, Gallen also has a qualifying offer attached to him, meaning the Padres would have to forfeit their 2nd and 5th draft picks to the Diamondbacks and lose $1 million in international bonus pool money if they signed him.
If you don't have an issue trading prospects, then why do you have a problem losing draft picks?
Well, because Zach Gallen is because the draft picks can turn into other capital for you, and you currently have 0 capital. You have to be. I mean, those draft picks are not those. You can't trade draft picks. So you have
Correct.
to
You
give
can
up.
lose them in the compensatory.
But you
yes.
you would lose them to your division rival, where you could use those draft picks to draft players that you could then build up your capital to then trade for other players. Slightly different. Plus they lose $1 million in international bonus pool money. That seems to be a very important thing to the Padres because they've done a lot of damage in paying for players in the international bonus money. Kevin Acee also goes, whoever's added the Padres will hope pitching coach Ruben Diablo can help him fashion a better than projected outcome. So they are relying on maybe some help from their pitching coach. It is noted that the Padres traded for Sean Manaea in the final week of spring training in 2022. They signed Michael Wacha in the first week of camp in 2023. They traded for Dylan Cease while the team was preparing to board a flight for the season opener in South Korea in 2024. And last season, they signed Pivetta on the day pitchers and catchers reported. So there's still a lot of that in play as well. I look more into the Zach Gallen thing, and I can look at where he's at in his major league career and what he's coming off of from last year. And now because I forgot that he got a qualifying offer, and what you have to do in order to acquire a guy like Zach Gallen. And I can understand why Kevin Acee wrote the things that he wrote today. I don't necessarily think they can't afford to pay for anybody. I don't think it's worth the Zach Gallen conversation, because as of last week, we got the reports that the Padres made a push for who, Frank, in the starting pitching market? Left-hander for Detroit.
Oh,
now?
Yeah.
Framber Valdez, right? Yeah. So if they had the money to potentially pursue Framber Valdez, but they don't have the money for Zach Gallen, I think it's in the right spot. They probably don't think Zach Gallen is worth the money that he's asking for.
Which is fair. And I'm okay with I'm okay with the Padres not landing Zach Gallen. My thing is, if you are so serious about finding someone who's going to contribute for you, don't settle for the average pitcher. Go out there and get the above average guy. That's my point. If it's Gallen, great. If they trade for somebody else, great. Don't just settle for Patrick Corbin because he was in your price range.
I think it's more about value than anything else. I think it's about value. I mean, going and signing a guy, like here's my counter to you on this. Going and signing a player that is a better player, but you're overpaying for him, that's not a great move either. You don't want to the Padres are not in a position to overpay. It always goes back to the way that baseball's set is dumb with the finances, because other teams can overpay and not suffer the consequences. Certain teams in Major League Baseball can overpay and not suffer the consequences. The Padres are in a position right now where they can't overpay for talent. So it has to be worth the value. And right now with Zach Gallen, I think you are honestly, if you give Zach Gallen close to what his qualifying offer was, or you give a multi-year deal, or you give him anything that's not really a Nick Pivetta contract, I think you're overpaying for him, because I think you're paying for what he was and not what he currently is or what he's going to be. Because Zach Gallen had a bad year last year, and Zach Gallen has had some arm issues in the past, as well as the fact that not only do you have to pay for Zach Gallen, but now you have to, because I forgot that he has a qualifying offer, you also have to forfeit 2 draft picks, and you have to give up $1 million in bonus pool money. So if the only way for the Padres to be able to get Zach Gallen is by giving him a Nick Pivetta type contract where he can walk away, I don't necessarily know I want to give up draft picks and $1 million in international bonus pool money for a Nick Pivetta contract. That doesn't make sense anymore either. So I can understand now why Kevin Acee's put out that the only way Zach Gallen ends up being a Padre is if nobody else signs him for a couple of weeks. His price goes down to a level where he's like, I need to go make a prove it deal. And then it's so cheap, it's worth giving up 2 draft picks to your division rival and sacrificing $1 million in international signing bonus money.
Which is why I said it's okay. I'm okay if it's not him. But if your intent is to go for it, then you have to get an above average player. If it's not Zach Gallen, then it's not Zach Gallen. We've seen, as you mentioned before in the article, making trades late in spring training. Don't just settle for the next best. Don't just settle for average or slightly below average and hoping that they're going to bounce back because you can save a buck and you need an arm. That was my point. It's okay if it's not Zach Gallen. If it's not, I'm not gonna lose sleep over the fact the Padres missed out on Zach Gallen. It's if you are serious about contending and going after it this year, and as we've talked about last week, Manny and Xander, their primes are starting to be in the rearview mirror now, just because of their age. These are the times where they are going to be able to help you win a championship the most. So if you're going to go for it, now is the time to go for it. Not just settle because you need an arm at a cheap price.
They're not settling. It's value, Frank. It's getting an arm, but paying for way less than what that arm is. It's getting an arm like Gallen, but getting him for $6 million. It's value over name and what the player is. That's the whole point of the conversation. You're on the right track of they got to go for it, right? But with the way that their money is, they have to go get value, right? So Tristan McKenzie's one of those guys. He's on a minor league deal. He makes the team and turns into what Tristan McKenzie used to be, or turns into a Zach Gallen pitcher. Then that's them going for it. Their risk is a lot different.
Yes.
They can't afford to overpay for anybody. So, yes, there might be somebody out there that is an above average player, but if I have to pay him the level of an elite player in order to get him, then that's foolishly spending just to say you're going for it. They have to find value.
If it's not Zach Gallen, it's going to be a trade, which I'm less convinced that it's going to be Zach Gallen. So I think it's going to be a trade. And what I'm saying is if a trade can't work out, you can't just go and grab an arm because it's an arm. You can't just grab a Patrick Corbin because it's an arm. You can't just grab a Zach Littell because it's an arm. I think a trade is on the horizon. I think it's going to be a name on the horizon. You can't just grab an arm for money.
You need arms to fill out the camp here. So they can just go grab arms, but in the whole term of like improving your starting rotation, they have to improve what they have. But
they got a kid from Japan. They got a kid from Japan last night.
That goes back to what AC says in his article too about they like Sears and Waldron and Kyle Hart more than anybody else that they think they're the same type of player as what you get on the open market. That's why they're not going to make a sign. And that's why he's talking about how they're not going to go get Zach Gallen because he's going to cost more than what he's actually going to be worth,
which is
especially
fine
with everything else. So in order to, again, it's value over just names of players. So if they're going to try to make a trade, they got to go find somebody that's going to be an elite level pitcher or an above average pitcher for the price of a rookie deal.
I have a feeling we're saying roughly the same thing, just in a different way. I agree with you.
I'm saying value. You're saying you have to go for it, but you can't overpay for that just because there's a guy that's, a high level player. If you have to pay over what he's going to play,
right?
Then
and I'm
it's not. Going for it to me is I'm spending whatever it takes to win, which means I'm just dumping money on players.
I'm not expecting.
You're talking. It's about value, though.
Right. I'm not expecting the Padres to spend $20 million this year on Zach Gallen. That would be stupid. That would be going for it, but that would also be immensely stupid. You have to. What I'm saying, go for it, meaning going for a name, going for obviously within your price. if Zach Gallen is willing to come here for a price that, say, you're comfortable with, say a $5-6 million prove it deal with a buyout, would you be okay with that?
A prove it deal?
Yeah.
For Zach Gallen?
Yes.
At
Would you
this
be okay
point,
with that?
I don't want to give up draft picks and $1 million for a 1-year deal.
Okay.
I need the production.
Say it's more of a Pavetta-like deal where he's locked into the first 2 years and then he could start opting out after that. Give Zach Gallen the exact same deal Pavetta has.
No, I'm not doing that for a guy that got a qualifying offer. It's now I'm giving up all this extra stuff where I can get somebody else.
For 2 years.
No, it's not worth it for 2 years. You give up the qualifying offer for a guy that you get for 5 years because you're throwing away draft picks, you're throwing away international bonus pool money.
So what would be acceptable for a Zach Gallen? And again, I'm just trying to get a gauge.
For a Zach Gallen, I
Yes.
mean, I think Kevin Acey makes up a good point. I mean, Aaron Savali had the same ERA as Zach Gallen last year, and he got $6 million. So if you're going to get a guy that has a 4.8 ERA, it's going to be under 10 million. So anything over 10 million is going to be overpaying for a guy like Zach Gallen here, taking a huge risk for it. But we got to go to break.
Yes.
When we come back, there's some more stuff from Craig Stammen that we need to get to. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Sports Station, 97 through the Fan.
Live and local college basketball can now be heard on 97.3 The Fan. We are the exclusive radio home of UCSD Hoops. Fresh off of their NCAA tournament appearance last season, the UCSD Tritons play here on 97.3 The Fan.
Chris Ello here from Gwynn and Chris, and I've told you about Spiro's great food and beautiful locations in Coronado and La Jolla, but I want to remind you that Spiro's also does great catering. Their delicious Mediterranean cuisine will make a spectacular presentation on any occasion. Whether you're planning a party at home, with friends, a rehearsal dinner, corporate event, call Spiro's. And don't forget, Spiro's has family packs and party packs for last-minute dinners and get-togethers. Pick one up tonight. Visit spiroscuisine.com.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Remember to listen at 1 o'clock for us to announce today's biggest fan for a chance to qualify for a night in our Odyssey Suite at a future Padres game with all the fan staff. Register your name at 97tothefantasy.com/biggest fan in order to potentially have your name called. I wouldn't really be counting on the Padres signing Zach Gallen after basically what Kevin Hasty said today in his recent update on the Padres looking for an arm. They're trying to find an arm that is in there that they could get value for, that's not going to cost them a lot, and it's got to be somebody that they think is better than the three options that they currently have, at least in their opinion. And as this article has said, it doesn't sound like there's a lot of arms available that the Padres view as being better than what their suitable candidates of JP Sears, Matt Waldron, and Kyle Hart are. Now, that being said, it's interesting they didn't list any of the non-roster invitees like a Tristan McKenzie in that either. I mean, he could be battling for a number 5 spot. But as you look at it right now, I think Zach Gallen comes with a lot of red flags, and I can understand why the Padres would be hesitant to give up everything that they have to give up in order to bring him into the rotation. So I have now convinced myself, based on this information, that I don't necessarily want Zach Gallen on the team. I mean, I'm not going to be upset if they sign him, because at this point, in order for the Padres to get a guy like Zach Gallen, it's going to have to be on a cheaper scale. And I just don't think that's going to be the case. I mean, there's obviously something there that scares them a little bit. And again, it's all about value over everything else. And for the Padres, who are close to their budget top, they can't afford to overpay for anybody that's left, which leads to potentially trades, and that leads to other areas that they can improve the roster. We're playing some sound from Craig Stammen from earlier today. The next one on the list is the philosophical changes that Craig Stammen would like to see to improve the Padres offense. Here's what Craig Stammen had to say.
When you look at the offense from last year, kind of relative lack of slug, some inconsistency, like what philosophical changes, how does it get better?
Yeah, I think every individual's kind of got to look at his own individual game and, how can I improve? Do I need to be in better shape? Do I need to make a swing change? Do I need to take a better approach, personally in the offense, or does the team need to have a little bit better approach going forward too? And then there's also like baseball. Sometimes ball doesn't bounce your way, and maybe last year, like some things just didn't go our way offensively, and we weren't able to score as many runs as we expected. If you look at 2024, we were pretty darn good offense. It's basically the same players. And, sometimes you have down years, sometimes you have good years. The thing that we're looking for is consistency. And if we can find consistency with our offense, I feel very good about our defense and pitching, and we'll be able to win some ball games.
I feel super confident in the pitching and defense on this team. That's 100% true. The next one, Frank, just to let you get teed up, I wanted to have that transition into the Steven Souza bit. And we're going to play that when we come back from break. But I look at the offense. Craig Stammen's right. I mean, they had a decent offense last year. They won 90 games. And it's the same offense coming back. The biggest head scratcher, of course, was Luis Ariz batting second for a long period of time. And it doesn't sound like that's something that they're going to continue to do in 2026. I mean, based on the article that Kevin Hasty wrote yesterday about Craig Stammen and some of his philosophical points on the offense was, we're not going to just continue to play guys in the same spot because they're a 3-time batting champion. If they're not playing well, we're going to play the hot hand. Kind of around the times of what he was saying. I like to see every single day Fernando, Jackson Merrill, and Manny Machado as 1, 2, and 3 in the order to start the season. But even after that, I mean, you have to be able to move things around if your offense isn't clicking. And, Jackson Merrill doesn't do as well against lefties. He's still a very phenomenal player, but his numbers are not as high as they are against righties. But I don't think you need to move him down super far. I'd rather see those three at the top almost every single day, mixed with Ramon Laureano if you really want to start mixing things up. But whatever you start the season with, because we've done the lineups, in this particular era of Padres baseball, it sounds like they're going to mix it up based on who's doing well and who's not. And that's and Craig mentioned, it's like, you have to factor in when things aren't going your way either. I mean, there's a lot of times in baseball you get failure and it's not even your fault. Balls doesn't bounce your way sometimes. So that was some of the changes that Craig Stammen wants to make philosophically on the offensive side. He's very confident in the pitching and the defense, and I would be too with the staff that he has put together, not only from a coaching perspective, but also from a player perspective. But didn't really get to hear too much from Victor Rodriguez last year. It's day one, and Steven Souza Jr., who is the new hitting coach of the Padres, gives us his philosophies on hitting when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Sports Station 97 through the Fan. Broadcasting live at the Bill House Studios. We know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, setting his number on Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. Frank has willed the winter back. It's supposed to rain tomorrow.
Love it.
You better put one of these on one of those like AI fireplace settings tomorrow if it's raining.
Fine by me.
Team USA is winning in the women's hockey against Canada right now. 4:46 to go in the first period.
Yeah, speaking of which, I mean, I respect figure skating, but hockey.
I was gonna say, I mean, the dual box of the figure skating and Team USA hockey. It's like we could put the hockey on. We'll watch the highlights of the figure skating later. All right, we want to get into. You got any other updates for us on the Winter Olympics? We actually don't have a lot of time to get an update on the Winter Olympics. This is probably your biggest window.
Stuff happened.
USA's winning medals.
Yeah, this stuff happened.
Let me check out the medal count real quick. Medal count Olympics. Norway's always at the top of the Winter Olympics, but they have 6
I couldn't
gold
imagine
medals.
why.
6 gold medals, 1 silver, 4 bronze. They have 11 total medals. Second place is Germany and Sweden. They both have 3 gold medals each, 6 medals total. Switzerland's at 4 with 3 gold medals, a silver and a bronze with 5 total medals. United States now has 7 total medals, 2 gold, 3 silver, 2 bronze, with more events coming up later tonight.
Italy is second in overall medals, so we need to keep the count going.
They're tied for first.
Keep counting the medals.
Who are they behind?
Well, the Olympic medal count, it updates every single day. It doesn't update after. They're 1 behind Norway.
Oh, they got 11 on this one. So they must have won one.
Yeah, they have 11. Oh,
Norway's got 11 too. That's because those 6 gold medals for Norway. They probably win all the Alpine sniper events. So we've talked with some of the stuff from Craig Stammen today, but they asked him about philosophical changes he'd like to see from an offensive perspective, and he gave them in the last segment. But also meeting with the media today was the new hitting coach of the Padres, Steven Souza Jr. And this one's a little bit longer, but it's interesting to hear from Steven Souza Jr. about, his hitting philosophies for a team that looked like they needed a little bit of a spark on the offensive side a couple of times last year, especially in the playoffs. Here's Steven Souza Jr., new hitting coach of the San Diego Padres, meeting with the media at spring training with pitchers and catchers reporting today about the hitting philosophy for him, which means the hitting philosophy for the Padres.
A hitting philosophy is a big thing, a big subject to cover. There's a lot that goes into it. But what can you kind of tell us about what you view for this organization philosophically on the hitting side of things? What is your philosophical approach to hitting?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's nice to have a talented roster like this, first of all. You're only as good as the players you have, I think, in the culture you create. And there's a lot of really good players in this offense that do a really good job of a lot of different things and have had some Hall of Fame careers and some MVP type years. And so I think having that foundation is good. I think what I'm going to try and bring is controlling the zone, hammering mistakes, being able to make the pitcher do something different out there. Because when these guys put the ball in the barrel, it's hit hard and it goes a long way typically. And so being able to create traffic when that happens is a huge part of, I think, the success going forward.
How do you approach enacting that? How do you approach making that happen? Like you say you have a talented roster. To impart that kind of strategy or that kind of philosophy, what's the way that happens?
Yeah, I think it's just dialogue, right? Like being able to have content that's valuable. Like every player that's playing wants something to help them get better. And so if you don't have anything to help them get better, they're going to find ways in their own avenues to get better. So showing historical ways that teams have been successful doing that, situations, giving them kind of a blueprint of like the way pitchers approach at-bats in the league and having dialogue, because it's, these guys have been in the league, a lot of them, for a long time. So it's about having a dialogue back and forth on what their experiences have been and maybe showing a different creative avenue that we could at times take to win some games.
You say hammering mistakes and making pitchers pay for those mistakes. There was probably some slug on this team that wasn't tapped into last season. Is that a focal point, tapping into that slug? Is that maybe too broad painted? How do you view kind of what needs to improve there?
Yeah, no, I think that's fair to say. Definitely last year we were on the bottom in slugging, I think, but they did a good job in situational baseball and trying to just win the game, I think, last year, and they were asked to do that. We will obviously have the ability to slug. There's no doubt about that. Like, you look at the roster, there's power up and down the lineup. More so, I want to be able to play the game that we need to play. So at Petco Park, sometimes the ball's not going to carry. These guys have the ability to downshift, take a different club in the bag, and move the ball all over the field. And then I think at times, like, we're going to need a slug, and they can do that. I think not limiting this roster to just one type of team, I think that's what I want to do. Controlling the zone is probably a big part of that. Like, picking the pitches that we want to do damage on, where in part of the zone, what are pitchers trying to do to this offense to get us out of our game and take advantage. I think that's probably a big thing that I want to acknowledge. But other than that, like, limiting just, hey, we're going to slug and walk, I think that's limiting the talent on this roster. But more so, like, let's have a bunch of different clubs in our bag, and whatever the team across of us is asking us to do, or the park or the day, like, we have the ability to do that.
Loved everything about what Steven Souza Jr. just said. Now, some things that really stood out to me: controlling the zone and hitting mistakes. I thought the Padres did not do a great job of hitting mistakes last year. I thought a lot of the best players of the Padres did not do a really good job of hitting mistakes last year. I think we did not see Fernando hit mistakes last year, or Bogarts hit mistakes last year, or Machado hit mistakes last year. Jackson Merrill missed a lot of mistakes last year. I think that's needs to be a big point of emphasis for this Padres team offensively. The other thing I really liked about what he had to say is being a team that can beat you in multiple ways and not just relying on two things, right? Not just relying on trying to walk and slug, which seems to be a, commonplace now in Major League Baseball, but being a multifaceted team, beating you in different ways. Sometimes it's going to be the long ball. Sometimes it's going to be the extra base hit. Sometimes it's going to be the walk. Sometimes it's going to be, maybe even getting a bunt down, which I know everybody hates. But to me, listening to Steven Souza, I hear a lot of finding ways to win in different areas based on what the opponent's giving us. That's like having a good mindset going into the box, taking pitches the other way on outside parts when they give you outside pitches, turning on stuff inside, right? I mean, these are the things that add to what could potentially be a very good offense by taking care of the little things. And he's excited to get ready. I mean, he said it best. They got a lot of talented players that can do a lot. But, I mean, we talked about Fernando and that sweet spot percentage, or lack thereof, that he had. Based on this offensive philosophy, I think they're going to be able to capture that a little bit more with Fernando. Because whoever was in charge of this team, from a manager perspective and then a hitting perspective, is they need to come in and get the stars being able to play at the highest level, because that's what the Padres have lacked the last couple of years. With the amount of money that they have spent on this team, they need their big guys to go out there and perform at a high level. And I think the way that Steven Souza Jr. has kind of played this out or discussed it, again, it's all talk today. We haven't seen any action yet. I like where this team's at from a philosophical standpoint. And hopefully we get to hear more from Steven Souza. I thought that was a really good answer. But without further ado, it is time to get to today's Sports Thread.
You know that group chat, the one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk. Brought to you by QC Kinetics. Stop sitting on the sidelines. QC Kinetics gets you back in the game without surgery. To learn how, visit QCkinetics.com.
All right, Frank, what we got going on today in the sports world?
Well, we'll go back to last week, because remember how we talked about Portland State beating Gonzaga in the West Coast Conference yesterday
Yes.
at home. And what did the fans do after that game?
Storm the court.
They stormed the court, and it got Portland State a $5,000 fine from the West Coast Conference. That was an appropriate time to storm the court. It's Portland State against a perennial top 10 team. This is a story about an inappropriate time to storm the court.
Number 1.
Duke coach John Shire raised safety concerns after North Carolina fans stormed the court following UNC's last-second 71-68 win on Saturday, saying members of his staff were punched in the face amid the chaos. The celebration was complicated by officials reviewing the winning shot, forcing fans off the floor before storming it again when the game became final. UNC athletic director Bubba Cunningham apologized publicly and said the school would review video and acknowledge people were knocked over during the incident, renewing broader concerns about court storming safety in college basketball. Why are kids at a school ranked 14th in the country that have had people like, I don't know, Michael Jordan wear their jersey, feel the need to storm the court against a team like Duke?
Blue Budge don't storm courts. I saw that from a Duke account. Talking about North Carolina. Because kids want to make it about them, and they see the experience on TV, and they want to be part of the experience, and they want to post on social media. It's a very simple answer. But as Adam Klug pointed out, now he beat me to it because I was going to say this because I knew where this is going. Kansas beat Arizona last night, gave Arizona their first loss of the season, and it was at home at Allen Fieldhouse. And guess what the Jayhawk fans did not do?
They didn't storm the court.
They didn't storm the court.
Good.
No need to. Did not need to. When did Frank become get off my lawn guy?
Your North Carolina.
When he interviewed for the job, Adam.
Forget about get off my lawn. Your North Carolina. Show some respect for yourself. Like, for real.
Your North Carolina. Start acting like it.
Thank you.
But you know what? Tonight, when TCU knocks off Iowa State at Schulmeyer Arena, they'll probably storm the court, and I'll be all for it. There are some times, though, where I get upset with TCU storming the field. There's certain restrictions I have in terms of storming the field. We have made storming the field not as cool because it happens all the time. Therefore, it is no longer a cool thing.
Like I said.
You know what? As many times as kids get upset about parents ruining things, kids have ruined storming fields and storming the court. They have. They've ruined it because they've done it so much. Once they start doing it, then it's not cool anymore.
Again, Portland State beating Gonzaga.
It was Portland.
Fine.
The Pilots.
Whatever.
Portland State's the Lumberjacks or something.
Whatever. Again, proving my point. We don't even know who beat Gonzaga.
Portland did. I do because I work in that conference.
That's my point, though. If you don't know who the team is that beat the top-ranked team that's perennially in the top 10, fine. Have fun. Have a field day. It's probably only about 10 people anyway. But if you're North Carolina, have some respect for yourself, please.
Number 2.
It's going to be interesting when we record the USD update when they play Portland this week.
The WNBA's latest CBA proposal makes progress on housing and facility standards, including guaranteed apartments for younger and minimum salary players, but leaves the biggest sticking point unresolved: revenue sharing. The league is offering to pay more than 70% of net revenue and a sharply higher salary cap, which while the players are pushing for 30% of gross revenue and a much larger cap. With both sides far apart and a strike authorization already in place, negotiations are entering a critical phase ahead of the 2026 season. Are the WNBA players right? Are the WNBA players right to hold firm on gross revenue sharing, or does the league's financial reality make the owner's proposal the only sustainable path forward?
You get paid what you're worth. Like, if the league doesn't make any money and it's subsidized by the NBA, just because the NBA players are making all this money doesn't mean you're going to make all that money. The math doesn't make
the math
doesn't work for people that are using their feelings to make these decisions. The reason why pro athletes get paid the amount of money they get paid is because of TV contracts and people go to games. And I know the WNBA has been a lot more popular, and they're getting more money into the league. But if the league is still losing money and it's not lucrative, they can't just pay you millions of dollars because you want millions of dollars. You get paid what you're worth. If you're not bringing in the millions of dollars, you're not going to get paid the millions of dollars. Honestly, the proposal the owners gave is not bad.
No, it's
considering like there might be a couple millionaires in there now that play in the WNBA instead of what they get currently, and that's just based on them getting more money. But at the end of the day, it's still a business, and right now the NBA is subsidizing the WNBA.
I can't pay you out of a pool of money that I don't have.
I don't know how many times I've said that as, justification for a salary cap in Major League Baseball. It's already noon when we come back.
From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime use.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. We are the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on Seneca's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We are getting into baseball talk today because we have had some news, obviously, with pitchers and catchers reporting today to Major League Baseball, at least for the San Diego Padres. I mean, it's always all over the place.
I think most every team is,
but I think everybody's reporting today. There's no like crazy international game to start the season, right? Where they got to report a week earlier than everybody else, right?
Not that
because
I'm
we have the
aware of.
WBC. It's too much, moving around. But we heard from Craig Stammen a couple of times. We heard from Steven Souza, who is the new batting coach, hitting coach for the Padres. But we still have a couple of things that we want to get to in terms of Craig Stammen meeting with the media that leads to other potential topics that we want to get to. And, let's just kind of go back to where we left off, which was the philosophical changes that Craig Stammen would like to see to improve the Padres offense. There's some other stuff in here as well. I mean, we heard the philosophical ideas of Steven Souza, which I like. I like what he had to say. And I'm curious to see if the Padres let him talk more, because we didn't get to hear from Victor Rodriguez at all too much last year. So hopefully get to hear more from Souza, because I like everything he had to say. I think the Padres are set up for success in that particular side of things. And, Craig Stammen really believes in the pitching side of this team. But the next one was, really about Craig Stammen talking about Steven Souza. He was asked what the role of the hitting coach is in his mind and what Steven Souza will bring to that role. So we heard from Steven Souza, but what has Craig Stammen said about the hitting coach that he has brought in to help lead this offense for the Padres? Here's Craig Stammen talking about Steven Souza.
There can be some differences of opinion, or what is a hitting coach? What to you is a hitting coach, and what does he bring?
Yeah, to me, a hitting coach's main responsibility is to make sure the players feel very confident about themselves when they're in the batter's box. And whether that's how they feel about their swing in the cage or the philosophy going up to game plan against a pitcher, them having the most confidence possible and knowing they're here for a reason. They're stud big leaguers and they can hit anybody. That's, I think, the main thing is what we're trying to get out of our hitting coaches.
Obviously, it's a role for him that he hasn't filled before. He hasn't filled a role on the coaching staff before. What makes him qualified to be able to do that, to be able to impart that level of confidence on these hitters?
Yeah, I feel like he's a very good communicator and he's very relational with people, and that type of personality I think fit one with our staff. Him being a former player has a big deal, about it too. Has been there, done that, struggled, had success. How do you handle those, things throughout a season, the successes and the adversity, and how do you stay consistent throughout the season? So he brings a lot of that to the table. And I think, in the years since he's retired, he's done a few things, got his own hitting facility. He's worked with the Tampa Bay Rays in a few different capacities in the hitting realm. And I felt very comfortable with how he views hitting, how he attacks it, and then how he can communicate with everybody.
I like the way he communicated with the media too. I thought he seemed like very approachable, very much a guy that you can ask a lot of questions about hitting. I liked everything I heard from Steven Souza, Frank.
Yeah, I did as well. I mean, it's nice to hear from the guy who's going to be doing a lot of the hitting prep, and I doubt we're going to hear too much from him over the course of the season, but it's very nice to be able to get to hear what some of these guys think right from them instead of Stammen relaying it from them through. You also had, I believe, Randy Knorr. Yeah, Randy Knorr also spoke today. The full interviews for Randy Knorr and Steven Souza Jr. are on the WFA, 97 Through the Fan YouTube page. So yeah, I'm very pleased with what I've heard today so far.
We only have a couple more of these. Let's get through some. Craig Stammen was asked what the biggest theme of his first spring training will be. Again, it's the first time that he has gone through it as a manager, not just a player, obviously. So here's what Craig Stammen was asked what the biggest theme of his first spring training will be.
If you could boil down what you want this spring training to be about from a mindset standpoint, so one thing, one theme, what do you think that would be?
I think I want him to, take on the personality a little bit of a workman-like attitude. So, stacking brick by brick, building the house that's capable of withstanding the rigors of a 162 game season. So, there's not, one like main message that's going to be like postered all over the walls, but we're going to talk about hard work. We're going to talk about togetherness, and we're going to talk about, adding days together that add up to a big picture. So being really good at the small things, being extraordinary at the ordinary, if you want some buzzwords, those are things I believe in, and those are things I'm going to try to impart on the team.
Last thing from Craig Stammen was talking about, and this is the update. And we've talked with Joe Musgrove. I mean, obviously he wants to be he's got his own ideas of where he wants to be at in terms of his total health and everything when it comes to being ready for the regular season. He's talked about, and he talked about it with us at FanFest about being ready for October and willing to take days off and willing to take some time off during the season, miss a start or two, if it means getting ready for October. But, what is the progression going to look like for Joe Musgrove in spring training? We heard from Joe that he's gotten all the rehab stuff done. Now it's just regular full go for him in terms of being ready to build up for the season. What did his manager and former teammate Craig Stammen have to say about Joe Musgrove's progression during spring training and what it will look like coming off Tommy John surgery?
Joe Musgrove, obviously coming off Tommy John surgery, do you expect his progression this spring to be, he wants it to be normal? Is it going to be normal, maybe with some easing off early, or how does that go for Joe?
Yeah, similar situation to Jason, he's got an idea in his head what it looks like, and he feels very healthy, feels very excited about where he is at right now. But he hasn't pitched in a game in a really long time. So we've got to be smart about that. We can't just, throw him in a Cactus League game and say you're going 4 innings. That would be not very smart or advantageous for our team. So we'll come up with a progression with Ruben. They'll work together on that and, figure out what's best for Joe to be ready, when the season kicks off.
Joe Musgrove.
And that's kind of like what we thought it was going to be when it came to Joe Musgrove. I mean, they're going to let him do his thing. He's going to be probably in almost full go capacity as it is. And I would expect him to be ready to go by opening day. The biggest question to me, it wasn't really Joe. I'm surprised, and maybe they did ask, and we didn't have it posted, but I'm more interested in Jason Adam and the story around Jason Adam. I mean, who in our time slot told Sam Levitt that he thinks he could be back by opening day, which I thought was shocking when I heard that news. I mean, you look at some of and there's some videos today. I mean, he's doing some extra workouts again. I mean, we got it on social media. Jason Adam
from 11 minutes ago as well,
working his way back from his left quad tendon rupture that happened in September of last season. I mean, I want to know what he's all about. But, I guess they said they weren't going to put a timeline on Jason Adam, but he said he's throwing bullpens. He didn't Adam didn't post it because it was no timeline. But he, to me, is the wild card for that bullpen because he told Sam he thought he was progressing enough to potentially be ready for opening day. Now, players always have a more optimistic outlook, but That to me is one of the players I'm interested in watching come back. I mean, he's going through his drills and everything, but like going through all those drills to help improve your quad is a lot different than pitching at a high level, Frank.
Yeah, like I said, if he comes back for opening day, he's a freak. Like we were expecting him to come back after the All-Star break, and he's saying now that he's going to be ready for opening day. I mean, that is absolutely mental. And if Jason Adam, I would be stunned if he's back for opening day. I really would be.
I would be too, but we'll see. I'm curious to watch him perform. I want to watch, in terms of, because today's pitchers and catchers reporting, and AJ Cassavell posted his storylines to watch for Major League for the San Diego Padres. We've seen the Major League Baseball storylines to watch. We've talked about some of those. We're going to see more of that over the next couple of days or so. But for me, there's a couple of things that I want to watch for when it just when it comes to pitching and catching, just the pitchers and catchers, Frank. Mm-hmm. To me, it's number one for me is Tristan McKenzie.
Yes. 100%.
Can they make Tristan McKenzie? Can they get him back to what he was in Cleveland? And can he be a guy that helps fill out this rotation very cost effectively? And is he the pitching version of Gavin Sheets from last year? Like, that is a storyline I want to watch. Jason Adam is up there as a storyline I want to watch in terms of, can he be ready for opening day? I want to view a little bit. I'm paying attention a little bit to what AJ Preller might move around in terms of the roster, may it via trade or maybe it via, a free agent signing during spring training. But when I'm just talking about the pitchers, I want to see what Tristan McKenzie's got. I want to see Jason Adam and how he's going to progress. And then after that, it's probably the other two starting pitchers that are coming off of injuries with Michael King and with Joe Musgrove. I mean, can Nick Pivetta replicate what he did last year? I think that's a question mark, maybe not a huge one. And I also think JP Sears is interesting, getting a full spring training and a full offseason working with guys like Ruben Niebla. I mean, they had JP Sears on a foul territory or whatever it was, and he was discussing like how cool it was to do Camp 44 and like what it's like being in San Diego now. And I think that plays a little bit of a factor. I mean, if they could get some production at JP Sears too, I mean, the Padres might have a lot of the solutions to their pitching problems. And then from a catching standpoint, it's Luis Campusano. I mean, that's the most glaring position for the Padres, because Luis Campusano, if he can make this team, which means he can hit at the major league level, that solves multiple problems. One, it solves a backup catcher role. And two, it could potentially solve the problem of a DH as well. I mean, maybe he plays a little first base too. I mean, that's just another asset to help lengthen the bench a little bit. So there are a lot of question marks going into this season. But for me, Frank, the questions circling the Padres and the storylines to watch that I'm watching for closely when it just comes to pitchers and catchers: Tristan McKenzie and his story. Jason Adam, if he could get back and ready for the first part of the season, which I think would be a shocker. How does Joe Musgrove and Michael King bounce back from, being injured last year? And can JP Sears be a guy working with Ruben Niebla that comes in and contributes to the starting rotation? And then from a catching standpoint, can Luis Campusano finally make this team? Because, oh, by the way, this is the last chance he has to making this team. Otherwise, the Padres have to make a very big decision.
I agree with all of those. I have a feeling that Joe Musgrove is going to be one of the biggest storylines, because so much of the regular season relies on how Joe Musgrove does and feels in spring training. And what I mean by what he does is, you can't take spring training results. I mean, if he has a 20 ERA in spring training, that's fine. He's trying out new things. He's making sure he's got all of his pitches. He's throwing pitches that he knows aren't working until he gets them working to see if he can figure it out and use it during an actual game. I want to, if Musgrove gets hurt again, just anything, gets hurt again and he's out for an extended period of time, that completely changes the outlook on the starting rotation for this team. So Musgrove has a lot riding on his shoulders in this spring training. McKenzie, I think, is also a very, very good one because McKenzie, if he's good enough, can win the number 5 spot in the rotation outright. JP Sears, I think, will be your 6th man in the starting rotation. He's your ace in El Paso, and then he's your first guy up. It'd also be interesting to see if they can figure out how to get Matt Waldron back to being in that spot. So this way you get a completely different look instead of just another pitcher. You get a completely different look with that knuckleball. I think Musgrove, though, is the number 1 storyline coming out of spring training this year so far.
Team USA hockey, women's hockey has added another goal. It's 3-0 now over the Canadians.
USA women's hockey is a lot better than men's is. This is more or less what I'm saying. Basically, is this is more or less expected.
Well, I never said it was an upset. I was just giving the score. 3-0 lead for Team USA. They are in the second period. 17:42 to go. We didn't even talk about Marco Gonzalez. I mean, that's another name that's in there. I mean, Marco Gonzalez is another potential upgrade for the San Diego Padres when it comes to helping out the rotation. I mean, they got a lot of names. It just, the difference is, though, when it comes to the starting rotation, when it comes to the pitching depth of this team, unfortunately, everybody that is competing for a starting spot in this rotation has a question mark. I mean, even if you want to look at Nick Pivetta, he still has the question mark of, can he replicate what he did last season this year? Because last year was a career year for Nick Pivetta. Can he replicate it? Can Michael King come back from injury? Can Joe Musgrove come back from injury? Can Randy Vasquez put more than one season together? Can he, improve upon what he did last year as he has come up through the minor leagues and now has gotten multiple times to start with the Padres after coming over from the Yankees trade? Can Matt Waldron replicate the success he had with the knuckleball on a consistent basis? Can JP Sears be somebody that the Padres thought was worth trading for in the Mason Miller deal? Can he add provided depth? Can Marco Gonzalez go out there and give production at his age, at where he is at in his career? Can Tristan McKenzie be a comeback story from what he was in Cleveland? Johnny Brito, is he going to be a starter? Is he going to be a bullpen guy? I mean, what's he going to be like this year? He missed all of last year with Tommy John. How does Bradley Rodriguez do? I mean, that's another guy as a younger piece that is trying to make his way onto this team from a bullpen side of things. Is Brian Hoeing going to be a long relief guy for the Padres? I mean, everybody in this pitching staff, everybody in the starting rotation for sure, has a major question mark when it comes to the pitching depth. But then even with the bullpen, there's a lot of other names on that list. Can Jeremiah Estrada be able to perform against some better teams in Major League Baseball, most notably the Dodgers, who has just had his number over the last couple of years? I mean, the pitching staff has a lot of questions. But I tell you what, Frank, they have a lot of names that could potentially be really good, and it could load up this pitching staff. But it's going to come down to whether or not they can answer some of the questions for each one of these players. And that's going to be interesting storylines to see in Major League Baseball, for the San Diego Padres. Now, we did our opening day lineup. We did a lineup we put together. For the Padres, we're going to go back to that, but also the National League. It's the time of year where, with pitchers and catchers reporting, it's time to start filling out your lineup cards. Major League Baseball, MLB.com, and all their beat writers did that for their teams. What does everybody look like in the National League? We'll talk about it when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number one sports station, 97 through the Fan. We need a contestant coming up in the next segment for the Midday Sports Standoff. If you could take me down to sports trivia, you'd be qualified for a shot at 2 tickets to 9 Inch Nails at Pechanga Arena on March 9th. Take me down to sports trivia, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Also, be sure to tune in and listen to us in just over 35 minutes for a chance for us to announce today's biggest fan for a chance to qualify for a night in our Odyssey Suite at a future Padres game with all the fan staff. Register your name at 97theffantasy.com/biggest fan in order to potentially have your name called. I also want to remind everybody that in the 1 o'clock hour, you have a chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to a Padres spring training game at the Peoria Sports Complex. But also, if you win the tickets in the 1 o'clock hour, you're also qualified for regular season tickets, a grand prize of 4 tickets to Padres and Giants at Petco Park on April 1st. So a lot of giveaways, a lot of prizes coming soon in the next hour or so. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. All right. Let's dive into some of this stuff when it comes to the lineups around Major League Baseball, specifically in the National League. Let's start with Frank's favorite division aside from the NL West, and that is beloved NL East. An opening day outlook, talent everywhere, certainty almost nowhere. And across both leagues, the defining theme is instability, masked as optimism. Almost every contender looks talented on paper, but nearly all of them are entering the season with at least one of these risks. Rotations dependent on health rebounds, lineups with positional experiments, youth being trusted earlier than ever, thin margins between depth and exposure. This is a season where April narratives could stick. And starting in the National League East, start with the Braves, Frank.
Yes, the Atlanta Bravos, elite core, but a fragile foundation, and got more fragile today. Atlanta still runs out a terrifying top 4 offensively, but the bottom third of the lineup feels thin and matchup dependent. The rotation is where alarm bells ring. Chris Sale and Spencer Strider are elite, but are workload sensitive. Ronaldo Lopez and Grant Holmes both carry health question marks, and Spencer Schwellenbach just got put on the 60-day IL today. Depth will be tested immediately, not as a worst-case scenario either.
Well, before this news came out, the buy or sell for this was, are the Braves still the clear class in the NL East? If they stay healthy, yeah, barely. But again, they're already off to an injury-prone start, Frank. And to me, that opens the door for everybody else in this league. I think that really leads the Phillies taking control, the Mets being right there in consideration as well. So the hot take that the Braves will win the division, but it's closer to 90 wins than 100 is now a sell because, again, they are just continuing to not stay healthy. And now it's starting to turn into a pattern for the Braves. But let's move on to the Marlins.
The Miami Marlins lineup is young, flexible, and unapologetically platoon-driven. The rotation has upside. Sandy Alcantara and Perez are a legit 1-2. Meyer and Garrett returning healthy changes the franchise's trajectory, and Chris Paddock now is your number 5, signals stability over upside.
I look at this Marlins team and the question that goes into the season, Frank, the Marlins, are they closer to contention than people think? I think the answer is yes. I think buy so. That. Alcantara and Perez, obviously the real deal. Lineup is very flexible. It's athletic. It's modern. They won't win the division, but they're not a free win anymore, I don't think, in the division. And the hot take for this group is, and I buy this as well, Miami plays spoiler all summer and ruins at least one contender season, and I think we know whose contender that is.
Yep. No, I buy that 100%.
On to the next team, the New York Mets. Speaking of the devil.
Yeah, there you go.
The New York Mets.
This lineup screams positional experimentation. Bo Bichette at third. Jorge Polanco bouncing between first base and DH. Brett Beatty potentially everywhere. And as we found out this afternoon, Juan Soto in left field, as well as possibly no Francisco Lindor for a while. The Mets
and Luke Weaver showed up at Yankee stuff.
Yes, yes. The Mets, the 6-man rotation idea only works if Kodai Senga is fully ready. Freddie Peralta leading this staff is bold but risky.
This Mets team, I'm going to ask you the buy or sell on this one.
Yep.
And the bold and the hot take. All ready for this?
Okay.
Buy or sell, the Mets roster chaos will cost them in games early.
Buy.
You're buying that.
Buy 100%.
Too many moving parts. Too many positional experiments.
Yes.
For the Mets.
100% buy that.
You got Bichette at third, Polanco bouncing, Beatty floating. Now you got Soto in left. Hot take for you, buy or sell. The Mets spend the first half fixing the problems they created themselves.
Buy.
I'd buy that too. Is that the most spot on
disaster?
Is that the most spot on New York Mets hot takes right there?
But remember, they did a great job replacing Alonso and Nimmo. They did fantastic.
That's right.
A+ off season. Fools, all of you.
Let's get to the Phillies.
Do we have to?
Yeah, you do.
Well, we did skip a team on here.
Oh, the Nationals. Go ahead.
We did.
Get to the Nationals.
Youth movement in full control. James Wood is the engine, possibly even a leadoff candidate.
Excuse me?
Possibly even a leadoff candidate.
All right.
The lineup is athletic, fast, and extremely young. Traded Mackenzie Gore, stripped the rotation of certainty. Savali returning as the number 1 is more hope than proof.
Yeah, they're trying to find out who can play and who can't. I mean, they're like in the same position as the Rockies, where it's more about development than anything else. Especially if, and I don't know if we're gonna have time to get to this today, but ESPN.com put out that article that you sent about potential trades that could happen during spring training.
Oh, okay.
There was like 3 different Washington Nationals trades.
Yeah, there were.
That all involved CJ Abrams going elsewhere.
Padre trades were in there as well.
There was one big Padres trade in there that might be something to talk about tomorrow as well. Let's get to the Phillies.
We get to the Phillies. Familiar, dangerous, and slightly
aging.
Bloody Nora, who wrote this? The Turner, Harper, Schwarber core remains intact. The biggest intrigue is Andrew Painter. Opening day rotation spots equal massive organizational trust. Wheeler's absence looms larger than advertised. Also, they seem pretty hell-bent on getting rid of Nick Castellanos this week.
Yeah, they're like, this week. We're going to get rid of him this week. Where's the leverage exactly? right? He's got $20 million he's owed. Like, I was talking last night to our resident Phillies fan, Chrome. He's like, the Padres want Nick Castellanos. Like, not for $20 million.
Yeah,
no, absolutely not.
He's going to get cut.
Probably. And then the Phillies going to have to eat it. And then somebody's going to have to give him a minor league deal or a league minimum deal. This team does feel like it's in its final no excuses window. Yeah. And the owner's already basically called out and said that Bryce Harper's not elite anymore. I mean, that's all you need to know about where the Phillies are at. Buyers sell. The Phillies are in their last true title window. Buying that 100%. If the Phillies don't make the NLCS, this group starts breaking up. Do you buy that? NLCS or bust for this team?
No.
And if they don't make it, are they going to start trading people away? I don't think they can.
Yeah, exactly. No,
because too many guys committed to long-term deals.
Yes, and the money's too much. You're not Harper. You're not trading Harper. You're not trading Trey Turner. You just made a huge commitment to Kyle Schwarber. I think Christopher Sanchez comes off the books next year. I believe that's his first year of free agency availability. But they're stuck now. This is the risk you run with this. The risk that we're going to be talking about. There's going to be a parade in 2023 for the Padres, whether they win the World Series or not. It's either because you won the World Series or because Bogarts, Machado, and all those big money contracts come off the books.
We're going to talk about the Central when we come back, so we do got to take a break. Also, if you want to try to take me down sports trivia, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We'll talk about the National League Central, some of the buyers sell from their lineups as created by MLB.com when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. Standing as Urban Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. We're going to get to the game in just a little bit. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, setting us over on Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. Let's get to the National League Central as part of our opening day outlook with pitchers and catchers reporting today. Every MLB.com beat writer put out the starting lineup and rotation for their respective team. And instead of just telling you what they are in order, you can go to MLB.com and check out where everybody's at. But we are kind of weighing in on what these teams potentially look like, where the problems are, where the strengths are. And so far, it's just talking about the National League East. As much as, people go like, I can't believe you're excited about Padres baseball this year. My response every time is look at all the rosters. And Frank, so far the National League East, yes, they've had some decent rosters, but a lot of question marks in the NL East.
Yeah, they certainly have, and those questions will only get bigger and bigger as spring training goes along, because as we've seen already, just in the National League East, we've already had the news that Francisco Lindor might require surgery that's going to miss.
Yeah, hamate bone problem.
Yeah, that's going to miss possibly 6 weeks. Spencer Schwellenbach is on the 60-day IL and expected to miss a lot longer than just the 60 days. So that could change a heck of a lot really, really quick.
Let's talk about the National League Central before we get to today's midday sports standoff.
Let us do that. I'll throw the music on this.
There we go.
All right, so the National League Central. We'll start off with the Milwaukee Brewers. Youth everywhere, confidence unshaken. Lineup continuity is underrated. Second in on-base percentage, third in runs last year. Rotation is almost entirely inexperienced. Woodruff is the lone veteran. Mizorowski and Priester headline the future. Expect volume over polish.
This is a very youth-heavy team. It's going to be tough for me to believe that the Brewers are going to overcome what they have dealt themselves. But they've done it the last couple of years, so it's hard to not count the Brewers. But buy or sell the Brewers' youth-heavy rotation will hold up?
No. So
I'm buying it because they've done this before. They got development baked into the organization. The offense is already proven. Woodruff anchors it just enough on the rotation side. I'm going to buy this. I'm not going to buy the hot take, though, that is Milwaukee wins the division again without a true ace season. I sell that. I still think that they can hold up for the majority of the year. I think they'll be a threat for the playoffs because they've done this before. And every time I've counted them out, they've proved me wrong. So by that logic, I'm going to buy it because they've done this before. And there's obviously something to be said about the development that they have in the pitching staff, but I just don't think it's enough to win the division.
No, I picture them a third place team behind the Cubs in Cincinnati. Speaking of the Cubs in Cincinnati, neither one of those two teams are the teams we're talking about right now. It'd be the Cardinals are the next one on the list. JJ Weatherholt is expected to win a job, not ease into one. Donovan's departure clears playing time and accountability. The rotation is wide open with 7 legitimate options for St. Louis this year. Prospect, pressure, poker.
It's going to be a very youth heavy team. I mean, they have to really find out who can play at the high level and who can't, and who they're going to build around and who they're not, who they're going to end up trending away. I mean, it's going to be an evaluation process for the Cardinals for the next couple of years, which leads to the buy or sell. The Cardinals are finally serious about youth. Yeah, I'd buy that. They've proven that they are finally serious about the youth. And the hot take of the year for the Cardinals, St. Louis surprises people by letting kids struggle and grow. I buy that too. I don't think that's a surprise.
They kind of got forced into it.
They're going to do that. That's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to struggle this year. They're going to let these kids learn from their mistakes at the major league level. They're going all in. They're going to try to develop more, and they're going to be ready in 3 or 4 years, maybe. And anything not tied down to the ship will be traded at each deadline.
It has been very, very interesting to see a world in which the Cardinals are not a competitive team. It's been very, very strange.
On to the Cubs and the division favorite.
Cubby is all in on structure and leadership. Bregman's arrival reshapes the entire lineup hierarchy. Matt Shaw's role flexibility is quite a storyline. Is a quiet storyline. Cade Horton's rise could define the season. Rotation depth is solid. Frontline dominance, however, is not.
This is a Cubs team that's, again, the biggest problem for them was last year was not having enough pitching. And again, they're going to be a little bit less on that. Again, they don't have Kyle Tucker anymore, but they bring in Alex Bregman. And for the Chicago Cubs, this is a team that I think is going to be the division winner. I think they're the favorite for the division. The buy or sell the Cubs structure over stars approach works. I buy that to an extent, but like Bregman's a star. Mm-hmm. It's not like they don't have stars on the team. They do have stars on that team. So I don't necessarily know that's that much of a bold prediction. But the hot take, the Cubs win the Central by being boring and healthy. I think they're going to win the Central anyway. They're not very boring. I mean, I guess all they got to do is basically not screw it up, right?
Yeah, that's about it. That's their goal.
On to the Buccos.
On to the Bucks. The power shift in Pittsburgh. Lineup suddenly has teeth. Pirates lineup has teeth, Braden. Marcell Ozuna, Ryan O'Hearn, and Brandon Lau equals real thump. Paul Skeens is now the face of the franchise. Bubba Chandler's development could elevate the rotation into elite territory, and Connor Griffin hovering over opening day conversations adds intrigue.
Well, I think the Pirates team's going to be better than they've been in the past. I don't think they've done enough to say that they're going to be competitive. Are they ahead of schedule? I'll buy that. I will buy that they're ahead of schedule. I mean, Skeens is a superstar. Lineup has some thump now. Chandler's on his way. He's coming. No longer a rebuild. Maybe it's a reveal. I don't necessarily know if I buy that, but the hot take, Pirates finish above 500 and no one laughs anymore. Yes, they finish above 500. No, people are still laughing.
I think if they miss 500, they're going to win 70. They're going to win in the realm of 70 games this year. Like it's in that 70 to 79 games this year. I don't think they're finishing over 500. The Reds, the last one here. Star power injury roulette. Ellie De La Cruz finally has protection with Eugenio Suarez. Offensive balance is questionable. Heavy right-handed, though. Rotation talent is undeniable, but the health is the gatekeeper.
Cincinnati's ceiling is pretty high.
Yes.
But their floor's a little familiar. They could still have another bad year mixed in. They made the playoffs last year. Can they win a playoff series? That was a big question we talked about during the offseason for Cincinnati. That's them getting over the hump another time. But buy or sell the Reds rotation can stay healthy. They haven't proven it so far. And they got a lot of guys that have young players that have high velocity arms that breed problems and breed injuries. I mean, Nick Lodolo hasn't been able to stay healthy. They have Hunter Green too that throws 100 miles an hour. And those arms are just ticking time bombs more times than not. It's a hot take for you, Frank. Cincinnati season is defined by who's not on the mound. I kind of believe that in the sense of how you view it. I mean, if you view it in a sense of who's currently not on the mound, yes, there's going to be guys that go down for the Cincinnati Reds, the rotation. It's going to be names that you're not thinking of that are going to have to make the biggest impact on this team. But also, they might need to do it with their sticks when it comes to the Great American Bandbox that they play in. All right, let's get to the sports start. Midday sports standoff. All right, chat member playing today. Who is it?
We have Mario in San Diego playing today's midday sports stand-off, whatever thing, as you called it.
Midday sports.
Mario, how are you?
What's going on, man? Good to see you. Good to be here.
Absolutely. All right. So today's topic, it's going to be a top 10 list here today. Based off of MLB projections, who is projected to win the most games this season? Top 10 teams projected to win the most games this season. Mario, you have the first guess.
I hate them, but Dodgers.
Number one.
Yeah, they're number one. Didn't mean to press that one, but yes,
Sure you didn't.
The Dodgers are number one. They're projected to win 102.5 games this year.
Who is this according to? Fangraphs or whatever?
No, it's not according to Fangraphs. I didn't need you looking it up. I do not reveal my sources.
You have your own sources of
Yes.
projection games. All right, let's go with the Blue Jays.
The Blue Jays are number 8 on this list, projected to win 88.5 games this year. Mario.
I'm on the clock.
Yep.
Go with your Mets.
The Mets are on this list. They are number 5 at 89
Wow.
and a half wins. Take the under. Braden.
What about the Cubs in their division they have?
The Cubbies are projected. They are projected to win one game less at 88 and a half. Mario.
Let's go with Milwaukee.
The Brew Crew is not projected. Mario, I'm hearing myself in the background. And as much as I love my voice.
Sorry, I had it on mute.
Braden.
All right. We've gotten 1 and then 5 and whatever.
We've got 1, 5, 6, and 8.
What about the Phillies?
The Phillies are number 3 at 90.5.
Interesting.
Mario.
Let's go with Seattle.
The Mariners are number 4 at 89.5 wins. Braden.
Detroit. They got to be the favorite in that division.
Mario, you're back in it.
Who do they have winning the Central?
Geez.
Unless they have them winning the Central, it's like the 11th best team in baseball.
Mario?
Let's go with the Yankees.
The Yankees are number 2 on that list.
This list is definitely lying then.
91.5 wins. There are 3 left.
Red Sox.
There are 2 left. That was number 9. So we're missing numbers 7 and 10. Mario, if you get this right, if you get this right, you're qualified.
Geez. I'm gonna put my money on the Padres. Let's do it.
The Padres may not always make you happy, but they make you happy this time as they are number 10 on the list at 65.5 wins projected. That gives you 5, Mario, which means you are qualified. Braden, would you like to finish out the list?
Let's see. Where did you find this list?
Don't worry about it.
Padres are projected to not even make the playoffs on
Relax.
most deals. What division are they in?
National League East.
Then I'll go with the Atlanta.
Atlanta was projected to win 88.5 games this year. I'm sure it's a little bit less now.
I don't know where you got this. Where did you get this list?
I'm not revealing my sources because then you'll find out where I'm getting these trivia questions, and it ruins
You
the
can
game.
mix it up. You don't have to use the same one.
I
Every time.
wasn't. I have mixed it up.
I agree with Augie. The list is lying. No Detroit. Who's winning the Central then?
It just gives me a top 10.
Did you chat GBT that answer?
No, I did not.
Did you throw that in the AI?
No.
Hey, give me the teams that
I
are going to have
did
the best
not.
years next year.
I did not. No.
Talk about the National League West next. 1 o'clock on the Braden Surprenant Show. Let's get to what it's time for. Now, we will have a trivia question that involves the Padres in this hour to get you an opportunity to win tickets to a Padres spring training game, which also qualifies you to win tickets to a Padres regular season game on April 1st against the Giants. Stay tuned for that trivia question. That will be in the next segment, going into the final break. Now, it's time for the day's biggest fan, Frank.
That it is.
Congratulations to today's biggest fan, Gary Nguyen in Lemon Grove. Gary Nguyen in Lemon Grove. Give us a call. 10 minutes, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973, and you'll qualify for our grand prize, 20 tickets for you and your friends for a night in our Odyssey Suite at a Padres game with all the fan staff later this season, catered by Spiro's Mediterranean Cuisine. Remember to register your name at 97thefan.com/biggest-fan. Gary Nguyen, you got 10 minutes, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. There it is. There you have it, Frank. All right. We've talked about the National League East. We've talked about the National League Central. It's time to finally recap what is the National League West in terms of the lineups and where everybody stands and some buy or sell going into the season. The early opening day prediction. Fire up the music. Let's talk about the division that impacts us the most.
What division would that be?
The National League West.
So I've heard. The Arizona Diamondbacks are going to be the first team on this list. Stable but unspectacular for now. Lineup continuity matters, but DH uncertainty lingers. Rotation is steady, awaiting Corbin Burns' return. Depth does exist. However, dominance does not.
The Arizona Diamondbacks. I look at this roster, and again, you mentioned it's very stable, but it's a little unspectacular. And when you look at the Dodgers team, the Diamondbacks, are they waiting too patiently? Like, I guess they get Burns coming back. That helps. Not standing still in the division is dangerous. But standing still in the division is dangerous. Buyers sell. The Diamondbacks are waiting too patiently. I'm going to sell that. I think they've made the moves that they need. They got a lot of depth, but they don't have like the major stars. And I think it all depends on like how good Ketel Marte is this year, but not like good on the field. Good as in staying healthy. Ketel Marte cannot stay healthy. He had his kid out there warming up with Geraldo Perdomo today, taking some reps at shortstop, which is cool to see before they start official workouts. But I look at this Diamondbacks team. They got some injury-prone position players. They've had a lot of injuries in their starting rotation. As much as Padres fans and national media worry about the Diamondbacks, they don't scare me yet. They don't. They got a good team, but they're not consistent enough and can stay healthy enough for the Padres to really have to worry about them.
No, I agree 100%. I see this being potentially a fourth place year again for Arizona. Going to the Dodgers, excess as strategy.
Well, here's the hot take for the Diamondbacks. Arizona regrets not being more aggressive early.
I buy that.
I'd buy that too. I think so. They weren't very aggressive in the offseason.
For the Dodgers, the lineup is absurdly deep. Kyle Tucker only adds to insult to injury. Rotation could be historic even if Blake Snell is not ready. 6 starters, multiple Cy Young resumes. Who cares?
They're basically just buying the risk instead of managing it, right?
Yeah.
They could just buy their way out of problems. Buy or sell, the Dodgers are inevitable. I buy that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're inevitable. Like for the division and making the playoffs, it'd be a catastrophically bad, a catastrophic failure if they didn't. I mean, here's the other hot take for you. Anything short of a World Series appearance is a failure, right?
Yes.
It has to be. That's a massive failure. I mean, with all the expectations come extra pressure. I mean, the Dodgers have all the pressure in Major League Baseball, and everybody dislikes them and wants to knock them off the top level. So I look at it in a sense of, yes, this is excess weaponized. Injuries won't stop them because they have so much depth. Rotation depth alone would win most divisions. anything short of a World Series appearance is definitely a failure. 100% buy that. I mean, if they do anything worse than that, they should start firing people with the roster they have. I mean, the Dodgers don't make the playoffs. They should fire their entire staff. How do you mess that up?
What would the excuse be if they failed? Injuries.
Injuries, probably.
And
that'd be probably it.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be able to make any other excuses. It would literally just be injuries. On to Gigantes.
Giants, contact meets power. Arise changes offensive identity. The Giants' offensive identity, not his. Devers, Adames, and Chapman bring swing and miss for Arise to offset. Rotation depends heavily on health.
Where have I heard that part before? Oh, I don't know. Almost everybody in Major League Baseball. Like, how many times have we heard from pessimistic fans about the season, about the rotation? Well, our rotation's not that good because they got to stay healthy. Everybody's has to stay healthy.
Yep.
Aside from the Dodgers, who just have a plethora of riches that nobody else can acquire, everybody that the Padres are competing with for a playoff spot needs their rotation to be healthy. Because one guy down, it's a massive problem for most teams in Major League Baseball. That's why I keep trying to tell people, start looking at other teams. You'll start feeling more confident about where you're at as the San Diego Padres. Now, that being said, Arise does change their offensive identity. This is a team that really needed some contact hitters, but I don't think Arise is going to be the massive upgrade they're hoping he's going to be.
Especially if he's going to be playing second base every single day.
He's playing second base every single day. He's there to play second base, and he's there to drive in, get hits with guys in runners in scoring position. He came off of a career worst, like a worst year. His career worst in almost every statistical category. We had that up earlier when we were talking about the Padres figuring out how their lineup fits, but you look at the ghost of 2025. I'll go back to it. Luis Arise, despite leading the National League in hits and finishing with a 292 average, quietly posted career worst batting average, career worst on base percentage, and a significant drop with runners on base, down 68 points from his career norm. Those are all numbers that tell you he's trending in which direction?
Up?
No.
Oh,
down. The wrong one.
Gotcha.
I think the ballpark will help him a little bit. It's more space out there for Luis, but overall, I don't think he's going to be the massive upgrade that the Giants are hoping for. He's just one guy with the contact to lead to their power, and if he's getting on base hits and the other guys are still striking out, doesn't really matter.
Nope, it does not.
It is a very high floor, medium ceiling roster unless somebody pops and has a really good year. As for the Giants buy or sell, Giants Arise led offense fixes their inconsistency. I sell that. The contact helps. I will say that, but it doesn't solve the health issues they have. It doesn't solve their rotation volatility. This team has a high floor and a cap ceiling. The Giants are good. They're not great, and they're stuck in the middle. And I buy that too. I 100% buy that too.
It's off to the
get to the Rockies and
deadline.
To the Padres.
Yes,
yeah.
It's off to the deadline championship for you. Development over results for the Colorado Rockies. Multi-positional chaos remains. Chase Dolander is the future. Some future for Dolander. Freeland and Lorenzo are the present. Depth and experience are still thin, even thinner now that we now know that Chris Bryant
is missing at least 57 days, 57 games with the 60-day IL.
He has played 170 games in his 4-year career for the Colorado Rockies. I would say that if it wasn't for Anthony Rendon being as openly against playing Major League Baseball as he was, Chris Bryant would be getting the same exact criticism.
I would say that too. At least Chris Bryant is not, insert description for Anthony Rendon here.
Mm-hmm.
At least he's like cool. I mean, he seems like he's cool compared to Rendon. And I think he's frustrated that he's getting hurt. I don't think he's like intentionally not trying to play like Rendon was. But this is a Rockies team. It's youth first approach. Every division we talked about today in the National League has had this team.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Marlins, who are above the next division, which was the Cardinals, who I think is still above where the Rockies are at. At least the Cardinals have solid players. I mean, yes, they have Dollander. Yes, the Rockies have Dollander, but that's basically it. He's kind of the future, and that's it. Yes, they have Kyle Freeland. Cool. Michael Lorenzen. All right. He'll be wearing the Vans on the mound. That's basically the approach to the Rockies rotation. So the buy or sell of the Rockies youth-first approach finally pays off. I'm selling it.
No.
It's not going to pay off for a while. Evaluation mode is in contention. Dollander is exciting, but this roster still lacks answers. They have a young pitcher that is good, but that's basically it. They have nothing else. Colorado's still 2 years away minimum. I will buy that. It might even be more.
Yeah, I don't understand how the Rockies continue to do it the way they do it. All right. Coming home, the Padres. Controlled chaos is how they're described. Lineup flexibility.
Honestly, wouldn't they be the best example of that over the last 4 years?
Yes.
They are controlled chaos.
Lineup flexibility is intentional. Andujar versus lefties is a direct response to last year's failures. Rotation history suggests another starter is on the way. Opening day versus Skubal could be a major tone setter for the season.
I think that if you brought in Miguel Andujar to make sure that you can be better at hitting left-handers, there's no better experiment than your first 2 games now in Detroit against Detroit.
Right.
With Tarek Skubal probably on opening day and Framber Valdez on Tony Gwynn opening day. You're taking on 2 of the best lefties in Major League Baseball when it comes to the starting staff. I mean, this is what knocked you out of the playoffs last year. The Cubs had the lefties you couldn't handle. And a major talking point all season was, all right, well, the Padres are about to start a series against so-and-so, and they have 2 lefties going. That sounds like 2 losses. It was almost an automatic loss every time the Padres played a left-handed pitcher, and a lot of teams would just stack the lefties against the Padres. So you wanted to fix the problem. You brought in a guy that had a great year last year against lefties, that historically has done better against lefties than he has against righties. But I still think they need one more piece that can complement Gavin Sheets. So they have a guy that hits lefties well in the DH and a guy that hits lefties well at first base. Now, the Padres are obviously clearly willing to adjust, but they haven't necessarily gone all in on that particular sense yet. I will say this about the Padres. I think the tone setter, I think opening day is a tone setter. I absolutely do, for this philosophy of let's improve how we do against left-handed pitching. Now, buy or sell, the Padres are 1 starter away from being dangerous. I think they're I don't think they're 1. I do think if they bring in another starting pitcher, they become dangerous. I do think if they bring in another bat, they become dangerous. But I don't think they are, I think they need both. They need one of each. They become better with both, and they become dangerous if they become better with one on each side, and they become dangerous if they could get a pitcher and a bat.
Yes, I agree.
San Diego's going to be better in July than April again. Hot take.
Yes.
I'll buy that. I think it's going to be a little bit of a slow start.
Manny
always gets out to a slow start in general.
Last year.
I know, but he usually gets out to a slow start, right? You're going to have some growing pains with some of the moving parts of the roster and the lineup, and it's Craig Stammen's first year, and I think you got to give them some leeway in the first couple of months of the season.
Don't expect 7-0, boys.
Yeah, unless the Tigers just get dinged for a bunch of PED usage in the first weekend.
Jeez.
That's what happened with Profar last year. This is part of the 7-0 start. I think the Padres are going to be, I think it's going to be a slow build throughout the year. I do. They need somebody that can play first base that can hit lefties also. And somebody that's not going to cost them $20 million like Nick Castellanos. I think I've convinced myself not to want Zach Allen on the team. for what he might have to do. Like what it might have to be to get him. Right? What do you have to give up to get him?
Mm-hmm.
And, AC had it. Kevin AC today flat out put in an article. However, it might be a while. It might not quite be the caliber of pitcher that they have brought on in recent years. Certainly, unless reports suggesting his imminent signing prove misguided, free agent Zach Gallen will not be that pitcher. Will not be that pitcher. I think you have to give up too much to get Zach Gallen for a guy that had a really tough year last year. A really tough year.
That whole rotation had a really, really tough year last year in Arizona.
So what happens if he replicates that exact same year again? That's a lot given up for a guy that's, I guess it would be better than Dylan Cease what he did last year. Maybe.
Yeah.
But would you rather spend that money or hope that Randy Vasquez does better than Zach Gallen last year?
Not to direct you guys away from our stream. You can always pick it up on your phone or open up a new tab.
What are we doing here?
The 97.3 The Fan Twitter page has video of Joe Musgrove on a major league mound.
Yeah, he's throwing. I told you he's got no rehab left, right?
No, I understand. No, I know. I'm just saying it's for the first time in over a year. We actually have video of Joe Musgrove throwing.
We have other clips out there too that Sam's putting out there, and it's a good time to reset. We're gonna have spring training Sammy on a couple of times a week, but he's got some. They already have matchups. Ramon Laureano facing Padres number 16 prospect Brian Balzar's on there for an at bat. As Frank mentioned, Joe Musgrove throwing off the mound, which is cool. Nick Pavetta's in the bullpen throwing. You got pictures of Bud Black being back there. Jackson Merrill is there working with Steven Souza.
Nick Pavetta throwing.
And then according to Sam put out a list of all the guys that he has seen. Now, he never wants to say, like, just because he didn't tweet it out doesn't mean they're not there. It's just the players that he has physically seen. So he doesn't want to assume. And that we ask him that every single year when he comes on. But he put out Xander Bogaerts, Ramon Laureano, Jackson Merrill, Gavin Sheets, and Jake Cronenworth are among the non-pitchers and catchers here today, taking some at-bats on the backfields. That doesn't mean the other players are not there. Those are just the players that Sammy has seen. 833-288-973, 833-288-973. We got a couple of questions to ask when we come back about the National League as we went through all their rosters, and we also get your phone calls. And to finish up the show later on, we will get a preview of San Diego FC tonight as well. In the next segment, we're going to give you the trivia question that could get you tickets to spring training. All of that coming up next on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number sports station, 97 through the Fan. Broadcast live at the Bill House Studios. We know how, and we will be giving away tickets to the Padres spring training game coming up. We're giving away a 4-pack of tickets to a Padres spring training game at the Peoria Sports Complex. And if you do that, you're qualified for a shot at the grand prize, 4 tickets to the Padres vs. Giants at Petco Park on April 1st. Get your spring training tickets now at PeoriaBaseball.com. So if you call in and get the trivia question correct, you will win a 4-pack of tickets to the Padres spring training game, to a Padres spring training game in Peoria, and you automatically qualify for a shot at a grand prize of 4 tickets to Padres and Giants at Petco Park on April 1st. Get your spring training tickets now at PeoriaBaseball.com.
Welcome home, Luis Arraez. Yay.
There you go. You give him a standing ovation, Frank?
No, I can't. You can't cheer in the press box.
That's right. Good answer. Good answer.
Did you see the rules that were posted at the Arizona State press box?
No.
I gotta find this. These are rules that were posted in the Arizona State baseball press conference.
Okay. This is for Arizona State baseball?
Yes.
Okay, not like their facility in Tempe that they might be using for other things.
They put up a list of 10 rules that I have to find again.
Cronkite kids not behaving over there?
I guess not.
Not surprised.
I gotta find.
Not surprised.
It was all over the place yesterday. I should have saved it.
When you said that, have you seen those? And then I said no, and you said, well, let me tell you. I thought you had it already pulled up.
No, I said I gotta find it.
Okay, well, a lot of people listening can't wait for you to just like.
I know that's go ahead.
Pause for.
Don't. I'll tell you when I find it.
Okay. All right. Just saying. Well, that'll lead me to another stupid thing. UCLA baseball, right? We have college baseball this week, Frank.
Okay.
Starts Friday. Our local teams are in action. In fact, one of our local teams is actually playing at UCLA. You know where UCLA plays their baseball games at?
No.
Jackie Robinson Stadium, which is
cool.
not owned by UCLA. It's owned by the VA. And they evicted UCLA last year at the beginning. They had to worry about, I forgot what they had to do. They had to make some payments for it or whatever, but they basically were like, why are we leasing this land to UCLA when we could be using it for the VA? I get whatever. I don't know what it is. So now this year, UCLA, by the way, number 1 baseball team in the country, Frank, is not offering on-site parking. You're not allowed to park there now. So now you have to park at UCLA and take a shuttle that's free to the ballpark in order to make it to the ballpark. There's no Uber drop-off. There's no Lyft drop-off. You have to park at a lot off-site on the other side of the freeway and then shuttle to and from. Nice. Number 1 team in the country. That would deter me from going to any UCLA baseball game.
Yes, it
immediately. I'd be like, you know what? I don't really want to go anymore. I'm not that interested. Did you find the rules?
I did not. I'm getting annoyed now because I should have just saved it yesterday.
UCLA continues to just do dumb things. They're just dumb. They're trying to exit the Rose Bowl. Dumb. No parking at the facility. Dumb. Can't get an on campus football stadium because of the neighborhood around. Dumb. I mean, just going to the Big Ten. Dumb. UCLA continues to just do head scratching things. All right. There was a couple of questions I wanted to ask. I am intrigued by this Arizona State press.
It was something.
Did you see Bobby Hurley yelling at one of those kids? By the way, one of the media kids.
It was something along the lines of the first rule was if you don't see lineup cards on the table,
they're not ready.
Both teams haven't submitted their lineups. Stop asking the SID. Rule 2 was
I ask our SID all the time.
Our rule 2 was mingle, talk to everyone because you never know, you could meet your future spouse. Who knows? Rule 3 was see rule 1. Rule 4 was something else. Rule 5, see Rule 1. Rule 6, something else. Rule 7, see Rule 1. It was quite entertaining, actually. And I'm really mad at myself that I did not bookmark it.
Fun. So is everybody listening in the audience. Was hoping for that, if you will. Was hoping for that. All right, let's get to some of these questions. This is a double-sided. Go at the 1 o'clock on the sheet. We'll both answer some of these, and these are questions that have transpired based on the rosters we went through in the last hour in the National League. And then question number 1 is, which contender is one injury away from panic mode on that list?
Which contender is
Which contender out of the National League is one injury away from panic mode? Braves, Phillies, Mets. Who looks
Mets.
deep until you actually map it out?
The Mets.
It's the Mets? Is that for pessimistic reasons or the fact that
No, because
one
the
guy
Phillies
goes
have gotten-
down there in a jam?
No, because the Phillies have gotten so not the Phillies. The Braves have gotten so used to playing hurt over these last couple of years. It's almost routine for them now to be playing hurt. And then the Phillies, I mean, they have enough big names to be able to play hurt and exist for a little while. If Juan Soto goes down, you're relying on Bo Bichette and Francisco Lindor to pick up that power slack. And and we've seen over the course of this offseason how thin the Mets outfield is. I don't see, and the rotation, we saw the back end of that rotation get beat up. Minaya wasn't healthy at all last year. Kodai Senga wasn't healthy at all last year. If those guys continue on that trajectory and say Freddie Peralta goes down, that rotation's screwed completely. One guy gets hurt on the Mets and it comes falling apart.
I think it's the Phillies. I think the Phillies are very injury prone. I think the Phillies are hanging on at the seams. I think the Phillies could potentially have a rough season this season if an injury happens to them. Are teams finally done babying young players because of all these young teams that are coming up, or all of these teams that are deciding to go young? I don't think that's the case. I just think it's more out of necessity than just trust. The Rockies are doing it because they need to. The Cardinals are doing it because they need to. The Marlins are doing it because they need to. Even looking at teams that might be in contention with some of these young players, it's because they need to, not necessarily because they want to.
I don't even think it's because the Marlins are doing it because they need to. I think the Marlins are doing it because that's just been their MO for so long, is to just young players wait until they build up to a big enough level, and then off they go. And then they get traded away or they get signed out of arbitration. And it's that just seems like the way the Marlins do it. I think the Rockies haven't had anything. The Cardinals are definitely doing it out of necessity. They needed a complete and total overhaul, and the Cardinals finally bit the bullet to do it.
Which team will regret its positional experiment first? Bichette at third, Polanco at first, Betts at shortstop.
It's funny how two of them are the Mets, and I think it's going to be Polanco at first.
Over Bichette at third?
Yes.
Why?
Bichette's younger, playing third. We've seen players make the shift going from short to third. We see it a lot. That's not a unique thing. A lot of the footwork is the same on the same side of the field. Let's see. Jorge Polanco. Let's see how many games he's played over at first base in his career, shall we? He has played in his career.
Probably not a lot.
Can I please get the
all right, Polanco. Splits? I would say Polanco at first too, because Polanco is. I just feel like the Mets are the team for sure, even though they have two on the list. The Mets are the team for sure because I feel like they're trying to force it the entire time. I think they're trying to force their entire roster right now. I don't know what David Stearns has done for the Mets, but I don't think he's done that great of a job. He's kind of forcing players into positions right now. I honestly I think that, and I know it's not a positional experiment, but the Giants putting a rise at second every day, I think they're going to regret that too.
He has not played a game of first base in his professional career.
How hard is it to play first base? Tell him, Ron.
It's insanely hard.
It's incredibly hard. The last question, because we got to get to break. Who's lying to themselves about contending in 2026? Pirates, Reds, Marlins, or Giants? Who's lying to themselves?
I would say the Giants.
Giants are my pick too. I think the Giants are lying to themselves.
They have the best roster and the most expectations put on themselves. The Marlins, Reds, and Pirates, it's baked in. You're going to lose.
I think the Reds are better than they've been in the past. They made the playoffs last year.
I agree. I think the Reds will finish
But I don't think
second.
anybody's like thinking they're a big contender. And as much as the Pirates have spent money, I don't even think they think they're a contender.
No, if the Reds get into the playoffs, it'll be a nice story. The Pirates and Marlins are not legitimate contenders. If they make the playoffs, it is purely because they overachieved.
Who's lying to themselves about being like who's actually going to be a contender that doesn't think they are? I think the Marlins are. I think out of all the teams that are not expected to be very good, I think the Marlins have the best chance of being a team that can actually make a run at something. They're the most surprising team next year.
If you think the Reds are going to back into another playoff spot, and they do, I would say it's the Reds who are going to be the most surprising out of that four. Second would be the Marlins.
I think it's the Marlins. I don't think the Reds are going to back their way in. I think they're going to come back down to earth a little bit. All right, we got to get to break. We're going to talk about San Diego FC. They got a big game tonight against Pumas UNAM for the second time. They're trying to not lose by 3. If they are able to not lose by 3 or more, they will advance.
Don't completely fall apart.
Yeah, completely. Exactly. We'll talk about that when we come back. But a trivia question for you. Craig Stammen is not wearing the same number that he used to wear when he was a player. First one to call in and tell me what number he wore as a player and what player wears that number now will win a 4-pack of tickets to spring training.
So it's a 2-parter.
Correct. What number did Craig Stammen wear when he was a Padre, and who wears that number now? 833-288-973, 833-288-973. That's for a 4-pack of tickets for spring training. And if you win, you will also be qualified for regular season tickets. 833-288-973, 833-288-0973. We'll get you the answer when we come back. All guests of 97 to the Fan, join us on the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys, helping good people regain control of the future when charged with a crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. Later this week, we'll have Spring Training Sam on a couple of times. We'll have him on a couple of times a week for the next handful of weeks. We'll lead you into opening day for the Padres coming up on March 26th. Used to never start that early. It was always like the first week of April. Now I love the season starting early. We gave away tickets to Peoria and spring training. Who won the tickets? Frank.
I knew you were going to ask me a question. I wasn't
Nick.
ready
His name
for-
was
yeah,
Nick.
Nick in San Diego.
Nick in San Diego.
It's been a
won the tickets.
long day for me today.
Yes. Starting with the traffic. All right, so Nick won the tickets. The trivia question was to win the 4-pack of tickets for Padres spring training and then be qualified to win 4 tickets to the Giants game on April 1st. What number did Craig Stammen used to wear at a Padres uniform?
Be number 34.
And who wears that number now?
Be one Michael King.
Be Michael King. Nate. Frank never remembers the names. Is it a bit or what?
No, I genuinely, it bothers me a lot that I can't remember things well. Early onset old timers.
All right, let's get to the did the women's hockey, did they won 5?
Women's
They've
hockey
scored
is
5
over.
goals in every game.
Yeah, they have outscored Czechia, Finland, Switzerland, and Canada by a total of 20-1.
Yeah, they're pretty good, huh?
That'd be a pretty solid team, yes.
Maybe San Diego FC can outscore Pumas UNAM by 20-1.
That would be really impressive.
That would be really impressive. That's tonight. You can watch the game on Fox Sports 2, by the way.
Yes, you can.
San Diego FC enters the second leg of its CONCACAF Champions Cup matchup against Pumas UNAM, holding a commanding 4-1 aggregate lead, but instead of playing conservatively, Coach Mikey Varas this week's talked about doubling down on attacking principles even at 7,500 feet above sea level in Mexico City. This isn't just a tactical choice. It's a philosophical one. San Diego FC wants to be the aggressor, regardless of context, opponent, or environment. And Frank, this goes to the philosophy that Mikey Varas had last year. When they first started, I remember they had that conversation. It's before you were on with me, but we talked about it. They had that win at Real Salt Lake to like the second game of the year. They went out. They said, we're gonna go earn the win. We're gonna go after the win. We're gonna attack the win because they got a lead early on the road, and instead of just playing defensively, they went on the attack, and they continued and they added more goals, and they had a huge win at Real Salt Lake, and that is the philosophy that Mikey Varas has instilled in this organization, and they're going to continue to do that even in international play.
Yeah, it's not Italian soccer. They're not parking the bus. They're not going to rely on their defense. It's a great way to have everyone ready. You're not just resting on your morals. You're rolling. You're always on. You don't have to. It's very hard when you're doing anything to be on and then to shut off and then it start to catch up to you and then have to go and push again. So if you're always on, you don't have that worry. So yeah, this is a very, very good sign that this is a continuing thing for San Diego FC.
Couple of things that were highlighted in Mark Ziegler's article about this game coming up tonight down in Mexico City. Number one was identity over their identity. Varas is openly rejecting the classic park the bus strategy, as you mentioned, Frank. Quotes emphasize conviction, protagonist mentality, going for the next goal, which sets up a clear debate. Their bravery versus recklessness. And I think they play a pretty safe game, even though they're on the attack. I don't think they play it reckless.
No, it's very possession heavy. They're always looking for the open man to try to advance the ball forward. And if it's not there, they're comfortable with sending it back to the back line and letting them sort it out and try to figure out where they can find an open hole and then waiting until they get into that attacking third to really be able to go in and open up the attack and really push the attack. They also announced they got a new midfielder over the course of the week. Right after the halftime show, I think they announced that they got a new midfielder. So that's another thing that they could do, another person they can do to try to plug in and fit into this system. But yeah, it is a very safe style, but it's also very possession heavy and waiting and patient to get into an attacking spot before they really go for it.
I mean, we talk about all the time with San Diego State having to play at altitude in college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
That's at like 5,200 feet.
Yeah.
I mean, in Wyoming, it's like 70 something, right? In Mexico City, the elevation is 7,500 feet, and they're going to have to play at high elevation. And this is not basketball. It's a lot of run. You run 3 miles on average in a soccer game, and running 3 miles at 7,500 feet poses a real physical challenge for a team that's on the coast and a team that's used to playing at sea level. And Anibal Godoy acknowledged fatigue will be real, but insists it won't be an excuse. And Mikey Varas subtly hedged by mentioning tactical nuances and flexibility, hinting they might adjust if needed based on the altitude. I mean, you don't want to use that as an excuse, but it's definitely a factor in this particular contest.
Yes, I honestly would not expect San Diego FC to win tonight. But again, they also don't need to, because all you need to do, again, if you lose 2-0, you're in. You're on to the next round. Then you play Toluca, who got the first round bye. So I would not expect a win. I would expect them to play their normal game. It might be at a little bit of a slower pace, because this game really does favor Pumas. Much in the same way when you go to Denver, the games heavily favor the Broncos because you're not used to it. And San Diego FC playing all of their games in the United States, not really playing too many of them. They have the Colorado Rapids that they have to play up at altitude, but playing in Mexico City is no joke. So I would not expect them to win this game. I expect them to be a little bit slower to try to conserve some of that energy, but they are going to be at a very real disadvantage here tonight.
Momentum shift in the first leg, of course. Pumas actually controlled the match early. They led 1-0, and then a 19-minute collapse, 4 San Diego goals, flipped the series and embarrassed Pumas. Mexican media reportedly ripped Pumas afterward, adding emotional fuel for the home side, on top of the fact that they hung out at Snapdragon for like hours in shock. I mean, this is going to be the best Pumas team that you have seen probably in a long time, with the embarrassment that they went through that San Diego FC gave them.
Listen, that's sometimes for a club, that sometimes is what you need. You need someone to slap you across the face in order to figure to get yourself right. So maybe that is the case. Maybe they woke something up in Pumas. 2-0, I think they were, to start the year. 2 wins, 2 draws, and no losses to start the season in Liga MX.
Yes, they did.
But I don't see I don't see San Diego winning this game, but I also don't see them being an insurmountable obstacle. I don't see Pumas being insurmountable. Like they won't be able to beat them.
Well, again, as much as like the momentum plays and the emotion and all and the altitude, right? We've talked about all the excuses of why San Diego FC could lose tonight. The math still matters. And Pumas needs a 3-0 win to advance outright, and they need a 4-1 win to force extra time.
Well, no, Yes. No, you're right. You're right. Yes.
Away goals loom large, meaning one San Diego goal could effectively kill the tie. So if San Diego FC scores tonight, they're going to be in full driver's seat to advance. I mean, that's asking a lot of Pumas to be able to beat San Diego FC 3-0 or 4-1.
Yeah, and again, it's
we got
okay.
Biathlon on, by the way.
Bubba the Bull in chat, it's okay to lose this game. All you have to do is not lose by 3 goals. That's it. That's all you have to do. And you still advance. So I'm not.
Yeah, do you care if you lose, if you really win?
Yeah, no. Especially if it's in a place where I'm not used to playing at 7,500 feet. No, I'm not. I'm slowing everything down. I'm making sure everyone can conserve as much as they can. Because if it is a situation to where you are in a place where you have to go to extra time, you don't get extra subs for extra time. And that's another half hour that you have to play on top of the 90 minutes you've already played. So I would fully expect them to slow everything down, be very, very patient, and use bursts of energy if they feel cornered, if they feel as though they need to swing the momentum back into their favor. If they lose, they lose. As long as they don't lose by 3, you're fine.
Here's some history offering a warning. Atlas overturned a similar 4-1 deficit in 2023 at Elevation. San Diego's limited elevation history is mixed. 1 win, 1 loss, both at much lower altitudes. And next rounds, if they win, it will be at Toluca, which is 8,750 feet, which raises the stakes even more.
Which means another 4-1 win in San Diego incoming.
That's right. Godoy struck a cautious tone, emphasizing Puma's history and home field mystique. There's an underlying tension, confidence, and not arrogance, and whether that line can be held. We'll see how this match goes tonight for San Diego FC. But they built themselves up by getting a huge win here in San Diego, and we'll see how they do tonight. We'll talk about the results tomorrow. We'll talk about everything going on in Peoria again tomorrow. Pitchers and catchers have officially reported, and baseball is back. You know what else is back? Gwen and Chris. They're back and coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan.